you so much for being here. Can you hear me on the street? Wonderful. We are going to get underway here. It is my pleasure to introduce you to first, students, the very children that we are fighting for from Emmanuel Lutheran School in Alexandria, Virginia, to lead us in the national anthem because we love this country and what it can do to fix bad law. The flag is behind me. Let's join them in the national anthem. Wonderful job. That was so beautiful. Woo! From the mouth of babes. Thank you guys for being here. I know so many of you. I'm going to stand up here on the kids' stool. Can you see me? Okay. So many of you have joined us here on this monumental day at the court from all over the country, and I want to kind of know where you're from. So let me hear you if you're from Virginia. I know there's a lot of people here from Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C. Okay, and anybody from the great state of Mississippi? Woo! Wonderful. This is a big day. So many of you here have fought for life, and we stand on the shoulders of those who have fought for decades for preborn children and their moms, their dads, and families. Today, right in front of us, guys, inside the highest court in the land, Roe v. Wade will finally be challenged, reviewed, reconsidered, and we hope power returned back to people to vote for life. We want to return the ability to protect our children back to us and hold our representatives accountable if they do the wrong thing. States like Mississippi are working hard to protect women and children. This has been years, guys, of legislation, advocacy, activism, prayer, education. You're all doing it. We're here today because of you. Thank you. I want to tell you a quick story, and then we're going to get underway with an amazing woman. I'm excited to introduce you for our first speaker. But the court will consider, for those of you who are paying attention, you know, the court will consider today the issue of viability, right? The Supreme Court has said that viability is their line, but there's an issue there because that line of viability is ever changing. This line has changed in the nearly 50 years since Roe v. Wade was decided, since 7 men on this court decided to allow women to tear their children apart under the guise of empowerment. Abortion empowers no one. The line of viability, guys, in 1973 was 28 weeks. Since then, we've moved closer and closer to 22 weeks, and just this summer, a new Guinness Book of World Record line was set at 21 weeks, 1 day. This summer, little Richard Hutchinson, I hope his family is watching, was recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the most premature baby to survive after he was born at 21 weeks and 2 days. He weighed less than a can of soda, and he made it. And his record was quickly replaced the next month by Curtis Means, who was born at 21 weeks, 1 day. Let's hear it for the babies. These babies are tough. And this case means a lot to me today, guys, as I stand before you, myself, 21 weeks pregnant. I think it's really neat timing that the baby inside of me could set a new Guinness Book of World Records if we just give her the chance, right? The other side will say, nope, she deserves no protection. And I'm honored to be surrounded by people who are so pro-science, pro-compassion, pro-love, pro-inclusion that they say, yes, she should be protected. The abortion provider here, Jackson Women's Health Organization, is arguing that the court shouldn't care about children no earlier than 23 or 24 weeks of pregnancy. Boo. In other words, the abortion movement is saying a state can't protect my child, that I have some right to kill her. That's wrong. It's horrifying. She has legs, heart, eyelashes, fingernails, a heartbeat, her own unique set of DNA, and she deserves the right to life. I'd also like to point out it's very ironic when abortionists start talking about viability when they have no concern for life. They've never cared about viability. The abortion industry ends lives at all points in pregnancy, and you guys know that. Medical technology has advanced a lot since Roe v. Wade. That's why we always say Roe v. Wade has got to go. The fact that the Supreme Court is forbidding states like Mississippi from protecting children that could potentially live outside the womb, like little Richard Hutchinson or Curtis Means I told you about, shows just how critical it is to fight for life. All right, I want to give a shout out to a couple people here. You guys in the back can't see it, but there are about 100 medical professionals over here. These are physicians, OBGYNs, that understand that they've taken an oath to fight for life, to do no harm, and they're truly doing it. So give them another round of applause. That's the American Association of Pro-Life OBGYNs. So if anything should happen for me, I'm going to them. And you should too. I also want to recognize the state lawmakers who are here today to urge the court to let them do their job and enact laws that the people want. Mississippi State Senator Jennifer Branning, Kentucky State Representative Nancy Tate, Chair if this is your state, Pennsylvania Rep Kathy Rapp, Missouri Rep Mary Elizabeth Coleman, Arizona State Senator Nancy Bartow, Ohio State Senator Christina Rogner. Look at all these amazing women. West Virginia Delegate Kayla Kessinger, Maine State Senator Stacey Gurin, Indiana State Senator Liz Brown. Those are all amazing women legislators that are fighting for life. We are the side that also loves men fighting for life, so thank you to all the guys here. I don't want to leave you out. Everyone here is here today to protect life, to fight for children, to represent their interests because they don't have a voice in this fight. But you are their voice. You and I are going to lose our voices today, right? We're losing our voices today for those that don't have a voice. So thank you. I'm honored to be surrounded by female OBGYNs, lawmakers, pediatricians, lawyers, civil rights leaders, women that have chosen life amongst hard circumstances, women that did not choose life and are able to talk about their abortion regret, pregnant women from Mississippi, women who are volunteering at pregnancy resource centers. If you've been to your pregnancy resource center and you're donating or involved, I want to hear from you. A round of applause for you. these dynamic women of all backgrounds, guys, who you're going to hear from today, different faith backgrounds, different demographics, different political stances even, but we all unite for this reason, for life. All right, the lady of the hour herself, for those that weren't here earlier, she's coming back. For those that don't know, what's happening inside the court today, oral arguments, both sides are going to get to fight for life. We're going to get to listen in to both sides arguing their case. Afterwards, you guys are going to hear right from the Attorney General, Lynn Fitch herself, on how it went. We're so honored to have her, so stick around. That's going to be the big moment of the morning. Right now, I want to introduce you to someone whose name you'll recognize, one of the stalwart leaders of the movement, the niece of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. himself, Dr. Alvita King. Come on up here.
I'm coming. Give it a speech then.
Here you go.
Speech. Hey, everybody! Hey, help me out real quick. Right hand over your heart, left hand to heaven. Pray with me. Our Father, together, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Loud. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our sins as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Hallelujah. Give God the glory. We gather in front of our nation's highest court today to speak for life. Since Roe v. Wade paved the way for legal abortions in this nation, America has seen nearly 62 million babies killed in the womb. Generations of young people have been erased without ever having the chance to be born, to live, or to dream. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." Could there be any greater injustice than robbing the lives of our nation's most vulnerable citizens, our unborn babies? How can the dream survive if we murder our children? Thank Governors Phil Bryant and Tate Reeves, as well as Attorney General Lynn Fitch, for your bold leadership in fighting for justice and freedom for all in the state of Mississippi and our nation as a whole. It is time for America to repent for the sin of abortion, the sin of judging people by the color of their skin instead of the content of their character, and the sin of denying human dignity for all from the womb to the tomb. I stand today to proclaim that there is a critical race, the one blood human race. America must stand on our bedrock freedoms for all Americans: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. My dream for America is that we will finally end this unspeakable atrocity of federally protected abortion and once again restore the rights of the state to elevate life for all from the womb to the tomb. May God bless America. Hallelujah.
That's mine. Thanks. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. King. Round of applause for an amazing woman. I want to take a second before we get started and say one thing, because Alvita, you didn't share this, but I know you and so many other here have a story. You are bold enough to talk about past regrets, past abortions. You're not alone. We are together We are the side that says we need you. We are the side of healing, right, guys? We welcome anyone here or over there to understand that we want you here. We need you here. You are the future of fixing this grave problem. We love you. You are loved. Now listen, I haven't told you this, but I'm from New Jersey. So I get a little competitive. I want to hear you say, hands off our babies. 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 Thank you. I'm so excited for you guys to hear these amazing remarks. We're going to get underway here. Our next speaker is Anya Baker. She is a mom of a special needs child, and she is coming directly from Mississippi, the state where this is all unfolding, where she works with SBA List and her plan to make sure women are supported. Anya, please join me here on stage.
Thank you. I'm a working mom. I'm also a mom to a baby boy with special needs. Both of my children were born right in Jackson, Mississippi. When I'm not taking care of my baby with special needs, I aim to empower women who choose life. When I was a college student at Mississippi State University, it was tiring hearing time and time again that my peers who became pregnant wouldn't amount to much, wouldn't finish college, earn careers, be married, be happy. Our Pregnant on Campus initiative served 50 women and men and women, students who were parents and pregnant in 1 year alone. Today, they are mothers to more children, career women, married, and enjoying life to the fullest. They are my friends, Amber, Catherine, Sharnita, Jalissa, Asia, Claire, now bankers, grad students, writers, mothers, wives, part of the fabric that makes up Mississippi. While working and volunteering for pregnancy centers across our state, I endured hearing time and time again that women we were serving would be better off with abortion. And yet, all year long, I have the opportunity to meet brand new Mississippians as they are served by partner churches and nonprofits around our state. We are the hospitality state for a reason. These babies and their mamas are cared for long after birth because we are one of the most charitable states in the nation. Now that I'm a mother myself, I am fatigued by the lie that my children's lives, my child's life, is a burden to my state, too expensive for my state, or too complicated for me, a working mom in my 20s, to handle. As someone who works daily with pregnancy resource centers, I know that Mississippi is prepared to meet the needs of women and their families when finally state legislators have the right to pass laws that reflect the pro-life values of our people. Here's the reality. We are stronger than they say we are. The proof is in our faces and in the faces of our children. Mississippi churches, pregnancy centers, and nonprofits, our governor, House, Senate, are gearing up for the culture of life tidal wave that we are leading. We are the David meeting the abortion Goliath, and we know how that story ends.
Thank you. Which is wonderful. Thank you, Anya. Our next speaker is the executive director of Democrats for Life. Let's say, yeah, we want more Democrats for life. Kristen Day.
Can I use your thing? Yeah, I'll do it. Hello, everyone. As you said, my name is Kristen Day, and I am the executive director of Democrats for Life. You may be thinking to yourself, pro-life Democrat is an oxymoron. How can anyone be pro-life and Democrat? I get that a lot. However, to support ending human life goes against the very principles and foundations of the Democratic Party. I personally am not sure how anyone can be a Democrat and not support and protect the most innocent and defenseless human beings. Real Democrats support a consistent ethic of life and don't carve out an exception, particularly for those preborn lives who do not have a voice to advocate for themselves. We must be their voice. In a perfect world, party affiliation would not be a determination of our commitment to protecting the preborn. It should not be a partisan issue. Mississippi's law is reasonable, mainstream, and received bipartisan support. Additionally, there are 21 million pro-life Democrats nationwide who, like me, believe that all life is worthy of protection, and we support Mississippi and their challenge before the Supreme Court. So, Democrats for Life, we were proud to write an advocacy brief in support of this, and we had pro-life Democratic legislators sign on with us. Representative Allison from New Mexico, Representative Angie Hatton from Kentucky, Senator Tim Mathern from North Dakota, Representative Silver from Massachusetts, and Representative Grace Diaz from Rhode Island. So Roe and Casey have contributed to confusion and partisan gridlock for decades. It is time for that to end. The court's fetal viability standards stop necessary debate in political branches of government. It's time for the court to decide based on the Constitution right to life, not continue with abstract and murky standards creating law where it doesn't exist. Overturning Roe and allowing the Mississippi law to stand will allow the debate to continue, and we can build a society that protects all life. It will empower women and protect the preborn, and we can stop pitting mothers against children. So we don't have to wait till the Supreme Court rules. I think all of you here have done a great job supporting pregnancy centers, so we can continue that advocacy. We can start today, too, for advocating for laws like the Every Mother Matters Act, the Emma Law that was passed in Arkansas, that connects pregnant women with the support they need to make a real choice. We can start today by passing paid family leave for hourly workers. Hourly workers are more likely to feel pressure to abort, and we can support those mothers through paid leave. So we must meet this commitment to overturning Wade with the same passion for supporting and protecting babies and families. If we build a consensus around these goals, this debate on abortion will finally end, because no woman will believe that abortion is her best or only option. Thank you for being out here today, and thank you.
Great job. Good job. Thank you, Kristen. All right, our next amazing female is from the great state of Mississippi, State Senator Jennifer Branning.
Good morning. It is awesome to be here with you today on such a historic day for our nation. I'm Jennifer Branning, and it is my honor to serve in the Mississippi State Senate, where I've been able to work with other elected officials on a host of issues involving the promotion and protection of women and children. The matter before the court today is one that I am very passionate about, and one that is extremely important to the people that I represent, as well as scores of other citizens of our state and this nation. House Bill 1510, which passed overwhelmingly in both chambers of the Mississippi legislature, is a great leap forward in protecting that most basic human right, the right to life. All life has value, and that value doesn't just begin at birth. As elected officials, we have an obligation to preserve that right, and I am proud that the citizens of Mississippi have worked closely together with the elected officials to get Mississippi to be the safest state in the nation for the unborn. As a legislator, but most importantly as a mother, I have a legislative and a moral responsibility to protect human life, all while promoting the health of women. And I'm confident that House Bill 1510 is a significant step in that direction. You see, the protection of the unborn should not be viewed as a political football to be kicked around by any political party. We should see this for what it is. This is about protecting human rights and ensuring that every person has the basic freedoms that we are guaranteed as Americans. The rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are the most basic rights that we enjoy as citizens of this country. It is my fervent hope and prayer that this honorable court will render a decision affirming the state's position, which will result in recognizing the protection of the unborn as an American right and returning policymaking to the states where it belongs in a way that will empower women and promote life. It has been my great honor to be here with you today to represent the people of my district as well as thousands of Mississippians that are prayerfully waiting for the court's decision. Where we find ourselves today is a great example of what can happen when private citizens stand with elected officials to defend this most basic American right. And this legislator and mother is honored to stand here with them today. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless this nation that we all love.
Awesome. All right, guys, I want to hear you. We're going to do another chant really quickly. This one's going to go like this. We love babies. Yes, we do. We love babies. How about you? On 3, 1, 2, 3. We love babies. Yes, we do. We love babies. How about you? Now, we love women. We love women. Yes, we do. We love women. How about you? Woo! Good job. We welcome everyone here to know that we're here for children, for women, for men, for families, to see Roe v. Wade overturned. Mississippi Attorney General AG, who you heard from a little bit ago, in her brief to the court here, guys, not only is she beautiful and smart and articulate, but she really went for it. She called Roe egregiously wrong. That's who we have inside the court today. We're so excited. The next person I want to introduce you to is the amazing Montse Alvarado, Executive Director at Beckett Fund. Give her a round of applause.
Good morning. How is everyone? It's incredible to be here on this historic day. My name is Montse Alvarado, and I'm the Executive Director of the Beckett Fund for Religious Liberty. Yep, I just said religious liberty. What's up with that, right? Well, I'm standing here with you asking the court to rethink Roe and Casey because at the Beckett Fund, we defend people of all faith. We like to say A through Z, Anglican to Zoroastrian. Got to sneak all those in there, right? Everything in between. Because religious freedom is not about who God is. It's about who we are. And it's about who we are in America. Because in America, our Constitution guarantees us the right to freely order our lives according to our beliefs. What does that mean? It means that at the Beckett Fund, we don't take a position on abortion, but we do take a position on the impact that Roe and Casey have had on the First Amendment and on religious liberty in particular. In defending people of all faiths, we've learned something really critical, that the fight over the right to abortion and the way that the courts arrived at that right has intensified the number of religious liberty conflicts that we've seen. Religious liberty conflicts where this court has protected religious freedom for the past decade. And those cases, those religious liberty fights that were created by abortion proponents who've tried to use the law to crush anyone who opposes abortion and wants to impose penalties on religious people who object to abortion. So it's no surprise that religious liberty disputes have become more common, more intense, and more divisive. Why? Because Roe and Casey reached beyond the Constitution to make it impossible for the political process to address the contending social forces and ideas regarding abortion. The political value of abortion is too high for its supporters to back off. So religious nonprofits are constantly in court, fighting to stave off millions of dollars in fines for opposing abortion, merely for wanting to save life. Abortion does raise really deep questions questions about who we are, questions about when life begins, questions about when life ends. But these are intensely personal questions with enormous repercussions. Our current legal reality does not acknowledge that. The purpose of ensuring that religious nonprofits pay and provide for abortions is not to solve any real-world problem, but instead it's symbolic, to ensure that all organizations and all people, religious or not, toe the line. They toe the party line on contraception and abortion. So attempts to eliminate religious dissent are meant to build a protective hedge around Roe and Casey. Why? Because it's a house built on sand. And the consequences are real. Medical professionals, all of you here, medical professionals around the country are forced to check their religion at the door when they practice medicine. And the sidewalk counselors, pregnancy centers, raise your hands. You're doing the work no one else wants to do and filling the gaps that the government cannot fill. These volunteers, you counsel women on abortion, on non-abortion options, and offer financial and social support, often for religious reasons. American public opinion on this issue is clear. The polls have shown that Americans want real choices for women, and they appreciate social programs that help communities offer these options to women. But Roe and Casey have warped our legal system and made it hard for governments to follow the best of our traditions, inclusivity, and to accommodate this variety of beliefs and creeds. As Americans, we know how to use our political system to deal with difficult issues. We understand that the word complicit really means something to people who hold fast to strong beliefs about life. We're a nation full of free people who often disagree on really important issues, and that's okay. Our system and our First Amendment were built for that. For far too long, Roe and Casey have forced abortion disputes to play out in other areas of the law. But our country and our Constitution today are too important to allow the court to make that mistake and to continue. It's time for Roe and Casey to go. It's time for Roe and Casey to go.
Great job, Monsi. I'm honored to introduce you to Representative Kathy McMorris Rogers. She is the ranking member of the Energy and Commerce Committee and a stalwart pro-life legislator. Give her a round of applause, pro-life movement.
All right. Good morning, everyone. It's great to see you. Thanks for being here. I understand that some of you have been praying all night long. Thank you. I join in those prayers today. It's a glorious day. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. It's great to be with you. I'm proud to represent the 5th District in Washington State. I am a mom of 3, a pro-life mom of 3, Cole, Grace, and Bryn. It's Grace's 11th birthday, so happy birthday, Grace. You know, I've never had an abortion, but I have given thought, especially in my younger years, as to what I might do if I found myself pregnant and alone. And I can imagine an abortion may seem like the easy choice, but it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart today to think that anyone would think of an abortion as being the only option or the best option. You know, growing up, I wasn't really much of a baby person. But you know what? Today, having brought a new life into the world, I can tell you it's the most amazing thing to bring a new life into the world. It's the best part of life. Our oldest, Cole, he's 14 years old. He was born with the most common chromosomal abnormality. You all know it as Down syndrome. And you know what? I remember when he was born and we were told all the things, all the complications that he might face. I remember the fear. I remember the anxiety that was a part of that. But you know what, today, I cannot imagine life without Cole. His life is worth living. Yet in this debate over abortion, Down syndrome has been at the forefront. Just recently, a woman named Heidi from Great Britain, she has Down syndrome. She took a court case against the British government and lost. She lost in allowing, they have a law now that allows abortion up until birth for babies with Down syndrome. This cannot be the United States' future. This is the country where we believe in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all. Abortion is the sharpest, soul-searching question before us as a nation. It pierces every heart. People have strongly held beliefs and stories, and both sides have been guilty of dismissing one another. Fear and despair leads to more arguments, anger, discord, and insecurity. But today, we have an opportunity to bring healing. We have an opportunity to bring hope. You know, we need to come together around the science, around the research, around the technology. We know we can follow the development of a baby today in the womb, day by day, week by week. They're performing prenatal surgeries to save the lives of babies in the womb. It's all proof that life begins at conception, and it's worth living. As we continue our search for a more perfect union, I wanted to join you today in prayer. Would you join me? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you that you are faithful. We thank you that you have governed in our country all through the ages. We thank you for so many who've gone before us. And you know, today in the United States of America, I find myself reflecting on the times of Ezekiel and the prophet Ezekiel when he said, you know, our nation is lost, all hope is gone. We become old, dry bones. And yet you, the sovereign Lord, said, behold, I will pour out my spirit upon you, and you shall live. Lord God, you are the author of life. We know, Lord, that it is you that forms each baby. You form together our bones in our womb. You call us by name. Lord, we thank you and praise you, Lord, today for this day. We pray, Lord, that you will speak about life, about hope, and about healing in our land. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. Wonderful, wonderful. All right, guys. Who here has seen the movie Unplanned? Who here has read the book Unplanned? All right, then you're going to know our next speaker. Monsi mentioned that there's millions of dollars in the abortion industry. I want to point out something really quickly. You guys volunteer your time and your talent for life. The side over there makes money off abortion, right? You are on the right side. And we now get to hear from a woman who came from that side to this side, and we're so proud of her. Please welcome Abby Johnson.
All right, well, I am from the great state of Texas, so howdy. I mean, we're always proud to be Texans, but now that we have the most restrictive abortion law in the country, we are really proud to be Texans. So, you know, for 8 years of my life, I worked at Planned Parenthood. As the director of that facility, I would happily educate women on the ease of abortion, glossing over any details of the procedure or any possible risk. I would walk them up and down the halls, escorting them in and out of the rooms as they waited for their turn to lay on a table that was still warm from the woman who had just taken their turn before them. After all, our goal was to have a woman on the table, off the table, abortion complete in 5 minutes. Time is money in the abortion industry, and we had a certain quota or number of abortions that we had to sell each month. The waiting room of an abortion facility is loud, like them, full of women and the people who they brought with them to their appointments, sometimes with their other children in tow. People are having lively conversations, often discussing their past abortions and giving encouragement to the other first-timers in the room. But every once in a while, I would be called to work in the loneliest room in our facility. It's often the loneliest room I often say it's the loneliest room I've ever walked into. It's the abortion clinic recovery room. A room lined with recliners and low lighting, silent except for the quiet sobs of women, and they all cry. They all cry. We didn't give them much time to dry their tears and steal their emotions. 20 minutes was all they were allowed. 20 minutes to convince themselves that the feelings they were experiencing were a lie, to convince themselves that abortion was normal, that they were only crying because of their hormones. 20 minutes to convince themselves that no, it really wasn't a baby. And we, the abortion clinic staff, gave them no comfort, and we certainly never gave them a shoulder to cry on. We never talked to them about abortion regret, because if we did, then we would be admitting that women actually did regret their abortion, and we could not do that. We handed them a tissue, left them to cry alone, gave them 1 month's supply of birth control pills, a can of apple juice, some graham crackers, and sent them on their way. It was another woman that fulfilled our monthly abortion quota. That was just the process of how we dehumanized the women that came through our facility. But the primary victim of abortion was being dehumanized in a far more barbaric fashion. While we were processing women by the dozens, like a farmer would process livestock, their preborn human children were being suctioned through tubes or being torn apart by the rigid teeth on the end of sofa clamps. Outside the doors of our abortion procedure rooms, you could hear the suction machines loudly whirring. The doctor would know the abortion was complete when they heard a very loud suction noise. That was the head being sucked through the tube, the largest part of the baby. After the procedure was over, their body parts were being counted and accounted for on pieces of paper with the appropriate check boxes listed for arms, legs, head, and torso. The products of Conception Lab look like an assembly line of baby body parts. At some facilities, these parts are put into industrial strength garbage disposals and ground up. At our facility, they were put into red biohazard bags and then at the end of the day, put into a freezer that the staff jokingly called the nursery. This is abortion in the United States every day, approximately 2,500 times a day. This is what they are celebrating today. Abortion dehumanizes everyone it touches. It hurts women, men, families, and of course our most innocent, the preborn. Abortion also hurts those who work in the abortion industry. My organization, And Then There Were None, has helped over 600 abortion workers, including physicians, leave this industry. Women are wrecked inside these abortion clinic walls at the hands of an industry that cares only about their bottom dollar. None of this is about women's rights. This is about the right to harm every woman and child who walks through their doors. In 1973, we didn't know, but we know better now. And when you know better, you do better. When a product is deemed unsuitable or unsafe for the public, it is pulled from the market. Abortion is unsuitable for public consumption. Any product where its success is determined by the death of another human being, it should be pulled from the market. It is time for abortion to be recalled in this country. It is time to end abortion. And I just want to say on a personal note, because this is very personal to me, if you are a woman who has had an abortion in this crowd, I just want to say that I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you were lied to. I am sorry that people like me took advantage of you, that we coerced you, that we lied, that we didn't give you the information, that we abused you, because you know what? Abortion is abuse. It is abuse of women. And I am sorry that I was a part of that abuse in your life and the lives of so many other women. I am sorry that these women have been so deluded to believe that that abuse that took place in their lives is normal, because nothing about abortion is normal. That was not normal for them. It was not okay. And if that happened to you, I am so, so sorry. And I'm so sorry that I was a part of that industry. And you deserve healing. You deserve the very best. And if you haven't sought that healing, please do so today. Thank you.
Thank you. It's powerful. Thank you, Abby. Wow. We are the side of love, aren't we? Let me hear it. Send love to some women right now. I'm so grateful for you each being here. You each have a story of fighting for life, why you're pro-life. Maybe you're a medical professional here, and I'm seeing pro-life medical professionals, dignity for all of our patients. Maybe that's your story. I'm seeing signs that say, babies survive abortion. I'm one of them. We have people here that have survived abortions, like Melissa Oden, like Gianna Jessen. They are so human and so worthy of our protection. We have signs that say, protect me, I'm 15 weeks old. Let's go. 15 weeks. Let me hear it. 15 weeks. 15 weeks. 15 weeks. Now look, I want to save them all. We all want to save them all. Over there, they won't save any of them. Will they stop at 9 months? Will they stop at 8 months? Do they stop at 5 months? Do they stop if you survive an abortion? They never stop, and neither will we. Let's move this football for all the guys here. My husband appreciated this. He actually came up with it wherever he is. I love you. Let's move this ball down the field. I'm so excited. Our next amazing female is Amy Murphy, founder of Rehumanize International.
Good morning, everyone. I am so glad to be here. So my name is Amy Murphy. I'm the founder of Rehumanize International, a secular, nonpartisan organization dedicated to ending all aggressive violence against human beings. I adopted this philosophy of nonviolence after a trauma that I endured in high school. See, I'm a queer Latina feminist, and when I was 16, I was also a liberal atheist pro-choicer in an on-again, off-again relationship with a guy. On Valentine's Day, he forced himself on me and raped me. That experience broke me. I finally saw how abusive he really was. March went by and April came, yet I still hadn't had a period. I was panicking, thinking that I was pregnant by my rapist. I was a straight-A student, a starter on the JV basketball team, an honor band musician, slated to go to an Ivy League school. I was thinking of nothing but abortion. I thought a child would ruin my plans. Well, word spread that I thought I was pregnant, and it eventually got back to him. He found me and told me, "Amy, you need to get an abortion. I'll drive you and I'll pay for it, but you need to get it taken care of. If you don't get an abortion, I'm thinking I might kill you." I'd taken 9th grade bio, so I knew that a unique living human being is created at the moment of fertilization. I guess prior to that moment, I just hadn't cared. But when my own life was threatened, despite my fear, I suddenly and begrudgingly became pro-life because I knew I could never participate in violence. I knew that I couldn't be like my abusive ex and pass on oppression to another defenseless human. But in that moment of fear, I also understood what so many women go through as they are coerced into abortion by partners, families, academic or business institutions who just accept the patriarchal idea that the cisgender, wombless male body is normative. The crisis of crisis pregnancy exists because our world sees women's bodies as aberrant. In that view, menstruation is disgusting and taboo. We shouldn't talk about our periods. Pregnancy is a disease condition and is burdensome. And a child, or rearing a child, is inconvenient and abnormal. This sexist norm leads to 0 mandatory paid leave, expensive maternal health care, pregnancy and parenting discrimination in the workplace. But menstruation, pregnancy, and childbirth are not atypical experiences. They are literally the processes by which each and every human being, like literally every human here, has come into the world. Alas, we live in a machismo culture that jumps to violence as an answer to crisis instead of addressing the root problems with creative nonviolent solutions. I stand here today in opposition to this culture of violence, speaking the feminist principle that every human being is equal in dignity and has the same inherent human right to live free from discrimination no matter their circumstance. Today, I am a disabled, queer, Latina, feminist rape survivor who is here to say, if we want to build an authentic culture of life, we must uproot racism, ableism, and sexism. We must believe survivors of sexual violence. And we must overturn Roe and abolish abortion now. The prenatal humans killed by the thousands each day in abortion clinics across this nation cannot afford for us to delay this matter of justice any longer. Forceps off their bodies. Forceps off their bodies. Forceps off their bodies. Forceps off their bodies.
Great job, Amy. That was wonderful. Our next speaker is Monica Snyder, Executive Director of Secular Pro-Life.
Hi, my name is Monica Snyder, and I'm an atheist. I know that sounds like the beginning of an AA meeting. I'm not an alcoholic, I'm an atheist. executive director of Secular Pro-Life, a group I like to think of as an atheist club with a pro-life problem. I'm the mother of 4, one of whom is with me today. And what else, guys? I'm a woman. Yeah. And so are the other leaders of Secular Pro-Life. I say this not because it's shocking, but because it's kryptonite to the other side. It's like pro-life, atheist, woman. They spend so much time on the patriarchy and the religion thing, and then we show up and you can see the dejection. It's like, oh, I need a different sign. Yeah, you do. You need a new sign. You need a new narrative, because the whole no uterus, no opinion thing, it's always been, I don't know, garbage? Do some math. Half of American women are pro-life. The leaders of the largest pro-life organizations, they're women. National Right to Life, March for Life, Students for Life, Susan B. Anthony's, Secular Pro-Life. Just kidding, we're not one of the largest. But we are led by women. This whole party is because of women. Janet Porter drafted the legislation that stirred things up in Texas. Mississippi Rep. Becky Curry sponsored the 15-week ban that brought us all here today. Of course, Mississippi Attorney General Lynn Fitch is inside the Supreme Court right now fighting to overturn Roe v. Wade. Do you know why? Because this movement is dominated by uteruses. So the whole feminism equals abortion thing, it is a farce. It's always been a farce. The only way they can hang on to it is try so hard to pretend that we don't exist, and that's what they do. They try to erase pro-life women. Good luck, right? There's not enough Photoshop in the world. But as bad as that is, even worse is their idea that women need abortion to succeed. Not only is that incorrect, it's the opposite of how it actually goes, because destigmatized, taxpayer-funded abortion impedes our success. It dramatically increases the cultural pressure for us to abort our children if we conceive in anything less than perfect circumstances. There's a study, the Turnaway study. It found that 96% of women, when denied an abortion, 5 years later, happy they didn't get one. Because as usual, the empirical data doesn't support their side. Where are we right now? We're in front of the Supreme Court 48 years, 10 months, 9 days after Roe v. Wade, and we are closer than ever to undoing this atrocity. Do you know why? Because all the glitz marketing and red herrings about the patriarchy cannot change the reality that abortion kills children. And we won't stop until all children are protected. Thank you.
Great, congrats. Wonderful. And her shirt says, are you pregnant? You're pregnant? Yeah. Her shirt says, don't miss this. Her life is valuable right here. Let's hear it. You wonder what these babies think we're doing this morning. There's a lot of yelling. We're so grateful to have an amazing feminist legal scholar and an author at the Ethics and Public Policy Center here with us. Please welcome Erica Bacchiacchi to the stage.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. It's so wonderful to be with you today. So for several decades now, women have been fed a big lie. We've been told that to be the equals of men, to take our places in society next to men, to participate in the economic and social life of the nation, even to enjoy, according to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, equal citizenship stature, we must have the constitutional right to end the lives of our very own children. I once bought into this lie too. As a pro-choice feminist and women's studies student in my early college years, I fully believed that children were an impediment to my equality and my success. But abortion is no means to equality. No, it is violence instead. And today, this act of violence against our own children is the price of admission into a world deeply inhospitable to its most vulnerable and dependent members, and to the women whose bodies are specially designed to nurture them. Abortion is no equality. It's misogyny instead. As a scholar of constitutional law, author of the new book, The Rights of Women, Reclaiming a Lost Vision, as well as a happily married mother of many children, I can tell you that the earliest women's rights advocates in our country, those who fought for joint property ownership, workers' rights, suffrage, and more, knew that the true advancement of all women would be possible only when the dignity of their children, born and unborn, was promoted too. These 19th century women's rights advocates saw abortion as the act of violence it is, and women's procurement of it as evidence of their ongoing oppression. Consider Victoria Woodhull, the first woman to run for president of the United States, nominated by the Equal Rights Party in 1872. Woodhull was not only an outspoken advocate for constitutional equality for women and the first woman to testify before Congress, she also championed the rights of children, rights that, as she said, quote, begin while yet they remain the fetus. In 1870, she wrote, quote, many women who would be shocked at the very thought of killing their children after birth deliberately destroy them previously. If there is any difference in the actual crime, we should be glad to have those who practice the latter pointed out. The truth of the matter is that it is just as much a murder to destroy life in its embryonic condition as it is to destroy it after the fully developed form is attained, for it is the self-same life that is taken. These strong anti-abortion sentiments of the first woman to run for president of the United States coincided not only with the advances of embryology that inspired the 19th century passage of the state abortion law struck down in Roe v. Wade. Woodhull's remarks also coincided with the ratification of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution in 1868. The earliest women's rights advocates knew that if women were to participate fully in the economic and social life of the nation, to take their places as full and equal citizens, as the text of the 14th Amendment anticipated, the nation would have to become radically hospitable and welcoming both to children and to the women whose bodies bear them. Roe v. Wade was a travesty to this vision of a welcoming and hospitable nation. Let us pray that Dobbs v. Jackson will be the first step toward making this noble vision a reality. Thank you.
Great work. Our next speaker is Catherine Beck Johnson, another lawyer for Family Research Council. She's a mom, a lawyer, amazing. Please welcome Catherine.
My name is Catherine Beck Johnson, and I'm a mother and an attorney. I'm honored to stand here today on the steps of our nation's highest court, whose promise etched in marble above our heads reads equal justice under the law. At its best, the citadel of our republic has inspired its citizens by standing up to prejudice, power, and politics to provide equal justice to the most vulnerable members of our society, as it did in ending legal segregation in Brown versus Board of Education. At its worst, this court has abandoned its commitment to equal justice and manipulated the Constitution to deny rights to marginalized groups like slaves in the Dred Scott decision and unborn children in Roe versus Wade. Dred Scott has rightly been consigned to the dustbin of history, but this court has repeatedly upheld the central premise of Roe versus Wade, that a woman has the right to terminate the life of her innocent child. Most famously in Planned Parenthood versus Casey, decided just weeks before I was born. Now, for the first time since Casey, there's hope that history will once again be made in this building and that the court will recommit itself to providing equal justice to all human persons, no matter how powerless or small. As Attorney General Fitch explained in Mississippi's brief before this court, the case for Roe is built on lies. Lies told to women that access to abortion is necessary to achieve their dreams in life. I didn't have to have an abortion to achieve my dreams in life. I did it, and no woman has to. Mississippi is boldly leading the greatest civil rights case of our time. The case that will end the lie that women must kill their children to succeed in life. The Supreme Court must restore the most fundamental right there is, the right to life, the very right to exist. No other right in our nation is safe if the right to life is not secured. While the Supreme Court can't bring back the millions and millions of lives lost to abortion in the past almost 50 years, it can begin to undo the damage done by Roe and Casey by ending this so-called right to an abortion. Unborn children should have full legal protection, and it's past time we protect children in the womb. Women are not empowered by taking away the rights of our children. The pro-aborts claim that my daughter must be able to kill her child to succeed in life. They claim the child in my womb has no legal right to exist. We reject these lies. We know that my daughter and little girls everywhere not only deserve the right to exist, but the right to dream of their families and their careers. They know the child in my womb, though small, is a unique person who deserves to live. We fight for these children, the littlest and most vulnerable ones in our society. We call on the Supreme Court to finally recognize Mississippi and every other state's right and duty to protect the unborn.
Great job. Great job, Catherine. All right, guys, we're getting closer to oral arguments starting. We're going to get to hear them, but first, we're going to have Monica Sparks, president of Democrats for Life, join us. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Whoa! Look at you! Empower women! Yes! Hello, everyone. My name is Monica Sparks. I am the president of Democrats for Life of America. I join our executive director, Kristen Day, here as a Democrat who is excited to be an advocate for life. Democrat? What in the world? Oh, you didn't know that 1 in 3 Democrats are pro-life. And this is when it gets really super interesting, friends. We know how to work across the aisle for important issues such as life. I am also an elected official, a Kent County commissioner, and my twin sister is a conservative, and she as well is a commissioner, Jessica Ann Tyson. It is an honor, a total honor to stand today with women across America, and men too, who understand that empowering women starts with promoting the ability to safely bring life into this world. Back to Democrats. As pro-life Democrats, we partner in and believe for the whole life, and will accept nothing less than justice for all women. Justice through access to clean water and environmental justice, social justice, education, economic justice, workplace fairness, fair wages, affordable and attainable housing, mental health care, and physical health care. We want to make sure that we are void of these trendy, false narratives, reproductive health care, which pretends to address the needs of the mother and leaves out the innocent, vulnerable, and defenseless babies. That term is too often used for their false narrative, and we want to empower women and support life on every level. We know that the majority of women who receive abortions are already mothers, and they face financial difficulty. We can build a more just economic system and empower these women to do what they want to do. They want to give life. They want to continue mothering. We don't need the false choice of abortion. As a Black woman, I am waiting for this court to deliver a verdict that will call abortion what it really is, racism. In marginalized, low-income areas, racism murders the preborn and strips would-be mothers of the hope that they deserve. The history of abortion is tied to racism and now allows lawmakers and big businesses to continue to overlook the true needs of women. Women should not be fighting each other. Women should not be fighting each other. We should stand to empower women against abortion. We should stand against the racism that robs the equity and justice from human rights. This divides us. It divides households and reduces life to a simple political statement. As Democrats, we will stand with you. We stand against these injustices for life. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Wonderful. Democrats for life. Anyone for life. May their tribe increase. Our next speaker is Mary Vaught, an amazing friend and a mother of a child with cystic fibrosis. She joins us today. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you. 7 years ago, my youngest daughter was born with a life-threatening genetic disorder called cystic fibrosis. At the time of her birth, 7 out of 10 women, that's 70% of women, that found out they were carrying a child with CF chose to end its life. While pregnant with her, I honestly lost count of the number of times that doctors, genetic counselors, nurses aggressively informed me of my options when it came to abortion. None of them were honest with me about the trauma of abortion, the health risks, the lifelong emotional impact that we've all heard about today. Now, as a young child, my daughter is thriving. She is brilliant, she is hilarious, and she is a very sassy young girl. Unfortunately, someday, though, I'm going to have a difficult conversation with her. I'm going to have to explain that in this country, there are a group of people under the guise of feminism, women's rights, and choice that would have championed me. They would have celebrated me if I chose to end her life. Think about that for a minute. Someday she's going to find out that Planned Parenthood and its supporters view individuals like her with a disability as less than human. She will find out that the pro-abortion movement encourages the narrative that the sickest among us, those with disabilities, are unwanted, a burden, and an inconvenience that could be aborted. This deadly discrimination against those with disabilities is a worldwide epidemic. Any society that pushes to customize what the elites deem as a perfect child or an ideal family is only one that looks alike, that is healthy. That's demented. Let me be very clear. There is absolutely nothing pro-equity, pro-diversity, pro-science, or pro-women about ending the life of the child. Absolutely nothing. The most fragile among us, like my daughter, they deserve better. Thank you.
Great job, Mary. Guys, for the first time in history, we get to listen in to what's happening inside the Supreme Court right now. Our AV team is going to connect us, and you're going to hear, the voice you're going to hear is Solicitor General of Mississippi, Scott Stewart, arguing for us. So let's listen in now to oral arguments, and if it doesn't work, we'll keep the rally going. But I hope we can hear it. Thank you guys for being here. Stick around. Let's listen in.
Admonished to draw near and give their attention, for the court is now sitting. God save the United States and this honorable court.
We will hear argument this morning in Case 19-1392, Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization. General Stewart.
Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the court. Roe versus Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey haunt our country. They have no basis in the Constitution. They have no home in our history or traditions. They've damaged the democratic process. They've poisoned the law. They've choked off compromise. For 50 years, they've kept this court at the center of a political battle that it can never resolve. And 50 years on, they stand alone. Nowhere else does this court recognize a abortions before viability, it is unconstitutional no matter what. Roe and Casey's core holding, according to those courts, is that the people can protect an unborn girl's life when she just barely can survive outside the womb, but not any earlier when she needs a little more help. That is the world under Roe and Casey. That is not the world the Constitution promises. The Constitution places its trust in the people. On hard issue after hard issue, the people make this country work. Abortion is a hard issue. It demands the best from all of us, not a judgment by just a few of us. When an issue affects everyone, and when the Constitution does not take sides on it, it belongs to the people. Roe and Casey have failed, but the people, if given the chance, will succeed. This court should overrule Roe and Casey and uphold the state's law. I welcome the court's questions.
General Stewart, you focus on the right to abortion, but our jurisprudence seems to focus on, in Casey, autonomy, in Roe, privacy. Does it make a difference that we focus on privacy or autonomy, or more specifically on abortion?
I think whichever one of those you're focusing on, Your Honor, particularly if you're focusing on the right to abortion, each of those starts to become a step removed for what's provided in the Constitution. Yes, the Constitution does provide, protect certain aspects of privacy, of autonomy, and the like, but as this court said in Glucksberg, going directly from general concepts of autonomy, of privacy, of bodily integrity, to a right is not how this court traditionally does due process analysis. So I think it just confirms whichever one of those you look at, Your Honor, a right to abortion is not grounded in the text, and it's grounded on abstract concepts that this court has rejected in other contexts as supplying a substantive right.
You say that this is the only constitutional right that involves the taking of a life. What difference does that make in your analysis?
Sure, Your Honor. I think it makes a number of differences. One, I'd mention two in particular. One is it really does mark out the unbelievably profound ramifications of this area, which in many other areas, assisted suicide, a whole host of important areas that are important to dignity, autonomy, freedom, and important to matters of conscience. It marks it out as one of the unique areas where this court has taken that important issue to the people, and it's something that implicates life, and it just, I think, marks off, Justice Thomas, how problematic and unusual and how much of a break the court's abortion jurisprudence is from those other cases.
If we don't overrule Casey or Roe, do you have a standard that you propose other than the viability standard?
It would be, Your Honor, a clarified version of the undue burden standard. I would emphasize, I think, as Your Honor is alluding to, that no standard other than the rational basis review that applies to all laws will promote an administrable, workable, practicable, consistent jurisprudence that puts matters back with the people. I think anything heightened here is going to be problematic, but I would say if the court were not inclined to overrule Casey, the choice would be undue burden standard, untethered from any bright line viability rule.
Well, I'd like to go to a different topic, back to Casey.
Yes,
I assume you've read Casey pretty thoroughly.
Yes, Your Honor.
And there are two parts. One is they reaffirm Roe. Put that to the side. The second is an opinion for the court, not for three people, but for the court. And that second part is about what stare decisis principles should be used to overrule a case like Roe. And they say Roe's special. What's special about it? They say it's rare. They call it a watershed. Why? Because the country is divided, because feelings run high, and yet the country, for better or for worse, decided to resolve their differences by this court laying down a constitutional principle, in this case, women's choice. That's what makes it rare. That's not what I'm asking you about. I want your reaction to what they said follows from that. What the court said follows from that is that it should be more unwilling to overrule a prior case. Far more unwilling we should be, whether that case is right or wrong, than the ordinary case. And why? Well, they have a lot of words there, but I'll give you about 10 or 20. There will be inevitable efforts to overturn it. Of course there will. To show and that is an unjustified repudiation of principles on which the court stakes its authority. And then there are two sentences I'd like to read, because they say they really mean this, the court, not just three. To overrule under fire in the absence of the most compelling reason to re-examine a watershed decision would subvert the court's legitimacy beyond any serious question. And the last sentence, after they quote Potter Stewart on the same point, they say overruling unnecessarily and under pressure would lead to condemnation, the court's loss of confidence in the judiciary, the ability of the court to exercise the judicial power and to function as the Supreme Court of a nation dedicated to the rule of law. Now, that's the opinion of the court. All right? And it's about stare decisis and how we approach it. And I hope everybody reads this. It's at 505 U.S. 854 to 869. All right. What do you say to that?
Sure, Justice Breyer. I would say a couple things. I would say we have very closely gone through the factors that the Casey court itself went through in stare decisis. More than half of our brief is devoted to stare decisis. We now have 30 years in the wake of Casey to see what Casey has done and what it hasn't done.
Well, it's called some bad things in the eyes of some people, and some good things in the eyes of some people.
Your Honor.
All right, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. What I'd emphasize, Your Honor, is that to the extent that I would not say it was the people that called this court to end the controversy. The people, many people vocally really just wanted to have the matter returned to them so that they could decide it locally, deal with it the way they thought best, and at least have a fighting chance to have their view prevail, which was not given to them under Roe and then as a result under Casey. And I'd also emphasize, Your Honor, that on stare decisis, just as I said, the last 30 years, workability, developments in the law, factual developments that states can't account for, the workability, the undue burden standard alone, many problems. On all the metrics that Casey was describing, or the vast bulk of them, Casey fails. And I'd also emphasize this as well, Justice Breyer, that Casey was not a great example of simply letting precedent stand. It recast Roe's reasoning. It overruled two of the court's most important abortion decisions. It jettisoned the trimester framework of Roe itself and adopted a new standard unknown to other parts of the law. Those are not the hallmarks of precedent, and they failed under this court's stare decisis.
Okay, can I take it that your answer is, yes, you accept the way, the special rule, the rule for the rare watershed, the stare decisis principles for deciding whether to overturn such a case as Roe, you accept that, and you think it's met.
I would say yes, in part, Justice Breyer, and here's what I'd emphasize, is that I do think particularly when Casey looked outward and looked to what it saw as pressure, there were pressure on all sides. As Your Honor noted, this is a hot, difficult issue for everyone. That's why it belongs to the people. And I think the conclusion the court drew from that it couldn't provide a good enough example, that it would look unprincipled, those conclusions were, with respect, Justice Breyer, mistaken. And the last 30 years has not seen any calming of that. It's been very different than some of the court's other controversial decisions that have seen much more calm.
What hasn't been at issue in the last 30 years is the line that Casey drew of viability. There has been some difference of opinion with respect to undue burden, but the right of a woman to choose, the right to control her own body, has been clearly set for since Casey and never challenged. You want us to reject that line of viability and adopt something different. 15 justices over 50 years have, or I should say 30 since Casey, have reaffirmed that basic viability line. 4 have said no, 2 of them members of this court, but 15 justices have said yes, of varying political backgrounds. Now, the sponsors of this bill, the House bill in Mississippi, said we're doing it because we have new justices. The newest ban that Mississippi has put in place, the 6-week ban, the Senate sponsor said we're doing it because we have new justices on the Supreme Court. Will this institution survive the stench that this creates in the public perception that the Constitution and its reading are just political acts? I don't see how it is possible. It's what Casey talked about when it talked about watershed decisions. Some of them, Brown versus Board of Education it mentioned, and this one, have such an entrenched set of expectations in our society that this is what the court decided, this is what we will follow, that we won't be able to survive if people believe that everything, including New York versus Sullivan, I could name any other set of rights, including the Second Amendment, by the way. There are many political people who believe the court erred in seeing this as a personal right as opposed to a militia right. If people actually believe that it's all political, how will we survive? How will the court survive?
Justice Sotomayor, I think the concern about appearing political makes it absolutely imperative that the court reach a decision well-grounded in the Constitution, in text, structure, history, and tradition, and that carefully goes through the stare decisis factors as we've laid out.
That.
No, it didn't, Your Honor,
Casey went through every one of them. You think it did it wrong. That's your belief. But Casey did that.
Well,
and you haven't added much to the discussion in your papers as to the errors that Casey made, other than I disagree with them, Casey.
Justice Sotomayor, maybe I can highlight two. Casey gave one paragraph to the workability of Roe. It then adopted the undue burden standard, which is perhaps the most unworkable standard in American law. It gave about 3 paragraphs, if memory serves, to reliance, which doesn't account for the last 30 years and the changes that have occurred since Casey. It gave a brief factual view to things that have changed since Roe. Those, of course, are not going to take account of the last 30 years of advancements in medicine, science, all of those things.
What are the advancements in medicine?
I think it's an advancement in knowledge and concern about such things as fetal pain, what we know the child is doing and looks like and is fully human from a very early...
In regular cases, courts decide whether science fits the Daubert standard. Obviously, under the Daubert standard, the minority of people, a gross minority of doctors, who believe fetal pain exists before 24, 25 weeks. It's a huge minority, and one not well-founded in science at all. So I don't see how that really adds anything to the discussion. That a small fringe of doctors believe that pain could be experienced before a cortex is formed doesn't mean that there's been that much of a difference since Casey.
We pointed out as an example, Your Honor, of where Roe and Casey improperly preclude states from taking account for these things, and they should be able to be concerned about a fact of an unborn life being poked and then recoiling in the way one of us would recoil.
General, I know what it said about viability in Roe, but was viability an issue in the case? I know it wasn't briefed or argued.
It was not an issue certainly the way it is an issue here, Your Honor. I think it was, to the extent that the court had to reaffirm Roe, the way to read that as something other than dicta would be to understand.
I'm sorry, I don't know what that said. Was it an issue in Roe?
Oh, in Roe?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. My understanding is no. I mean, the law there was didn't have a viability tag. That was inserted by...
In fact, if I remember correctly, and it's an unfortunate source, but it's there, in his papers, Justice Blackmun said that the viability line was dicta, and presumably he had some insight on the question.
I think, and I'd add, Your Honor, Justice Blackmun, in I think as well his papers, pointed out the arbitrary nature of it and the line drawing problems in there too.
And then in Casey said that that was the core principle or the central principle in Roe, viability. It said that after tossing out the trimester formula, which many people thought was the core principle. But was viability at issue in Casey?
I don't think it was squarely at issue, Your Honor. Again, it's a little hard not to take the court at its word when it emphasized that viability is the central part of Roe's holding, and saying that it is reaffirming that. So we kind of take that as it stands, but the court has not. It did not face a law like this, certainly, Mr. Chief Justice.
May I finish my inquiry?
Of course, Justice Sotomayor.
Virtually every state defines a brain death as death. Yet the literature is filled with episodes of people who are completely and utterly brain dead, responding to stimuli. There's about 40% of dead people who, if you touch their feet, the foot will recoil. There are spontaneous acts by dead brain people. So I don't think that a response to by a fetus necessarily proves that there's a sensation of pain or that there's consciousness. So I go back to my question of what has changed in science to show that the viability line is not a real line, that a fetus cannot survive. And I think that's what both courts below said, that you had no experts say that there is any viability before 23 to 24 months.
And what I'd say is this, Justice Sotomayor, is that the fundamental problem with viability, it's not really something that rests on science so much. It's that viability is not tethered to anything in the Constitution, in history, or tradition. It's a quintessentially legislative line. A legislature could think that viability makes sense as a place to draw the line, but it's quite reasonable for a legislature to draw the line elsewhere.
There's so much that's not in the Constitution, including the fact that we have the last word. Marbury versus Madison. There is not anything in the Constitution that says that the court, the Supreme Court, is the last word on what the Constitution means. It's totally novel at that time. And yet, what the court did was reason from the structure of the Constitution that that's what was intended. And here in Casey and in Roe, the court said there is inherent in our structure that there are certain personal decisions that belong to individuals and the states can't intrude on them. We've recognized them in terms of the religion parents will teach their children. We've recognized it in their ability to educate at home if they choose. They just have to educate them. We have recognized that sense of privacy in people's choices about whether to use contraception or not. We've recognized it in their right to choose who they're going to marry. I fear none of those things are written in the Constitution. They have all, like Marbury versus Madison, been discerned from the structure of the Constitution. Why do we now say that somehow Roe versus Roe and Casey are so unusual that they must be overturned?
Well, Justice Sotomayor, I would emphasize two things. When you're going beyond the Constitution, this court has looked closely to...
No, what I'm saying is they didn't go beyond the Constitution.
Your Honor, they did not deduce those from the structure of the Constitution. They pointed to the 14th Amendment and reasoned that privacy in Roe, autonomy and similar values in Casey led to a right to abortion. That's not how this court traditionally does things, including in the vast run of cases that Your Honor ran through. The court looks to history and tradition, and here, those decisively reject the proposition that states cannot legislate comprehensively on abortion before, after viability, and all throughout. So it's history and tradition, Your Honor. And I would also add, Your Honor, that those decisions, a great many of them draw, not just draw from text, history, and tradition, but they draw often clear lines, very workable, have not led to the many negative stare decisis factors that we identify here.
General, Go ahead, Dr. Barrett. Would a decision in your favor call any of the questions, any of the cases, that Justice Sotomayor
All
is
right,
identifying?
ladies and gentlemen, who's ready for round two? Let's give Scott a round of applause. All right, we just listened to a historic moment, oral argument streamed inside the court. That's Scott. Say a prayer for him. He's doing a great job for us. I want to say something really quickly, because you may have heard the other side say a few things. I'm really tired of hearing that abortion is racist. Does abortion kill more black babies than any other leading cause of death in the black community? I'm sorry, the niece of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. agrees. She says yes.
Amen.
Someone, I think, called Youth for Abortion, which is terrifying, said that abortion is ageist. Are you kidding? Ageism is targeting people based on their age. Abortion is not the problem of ageism. You guys are targeting the most young and vulnerable among us. Abortion hurts women and children. We're going to have an amazing lineup of speakers. Let's get through them because the AGs almost, when they wrap, they're going to come down here and join us, guys. Thank you so much. I'm so glad it's not that cold. You're doing a great job. Our next speaker is Dr. Gracie Christie. Welcome, Dr. Christie.
There are a lot of really stupid ideas on that side, really damaging and dangerous ideas, and really ugly signs. And one of the signs that's killing me is the one that says, doctors, not doctrine. Well, I am speaking here for pro-life doctors. And I want to tell you that it has nothing to do with doctrine. It has to do with science. It's all about the science. And back in 1973, my own particular medical field, I'm a radiologist, was in its infancy when it came to unborn babies. Fetal ultrasound. Who could have imagined the advances in science that have led us to where we are today? A time in which every single unborn child in America is examined once or many times throughout pregnancy through sound waves. Gorgeous, highly detailed images of perfectly human, perfectly lively babies growing quietly in what should be the safety of their mother's wombs. Science, which never stops illuminating the dark corners of the universe, is shining an ever brighter light into the velvety blackness of the womb. If the science was unclear in 1973, if the humanity of the fetus was obscured, if there was a veil preventing us from seeing our littlest brothers and sisters clearly, that veil has been pulled back by science. Every day, with perfect clarity, I see in stupendous detail, I witness the endearing humanity of my little patients. The lips that purse, the eyelids that flutter, the noses that itch, the fingers that scratch. I watch the sucking of thumbs and the kicking of legs. I see the blood whooshing through the fetal heart, valves working furiously as they will be working decades later when this baby boy or baby girl grows up and grows old, if they are fortunate enough to do so. I create the images which are treasured and preserved by mothers and fathers, by grandparents, by aunts and uncles. Images that make hearts throb with love and a fierce desire to protect and preserve. My field, fetal ultrasound, has changed the shape of American minds and has softened American hearts. Science has spoken, and it has spoken in favor of my little patients, my vulnerable, voiceless patients who have been dehumanized and marginalized since 1973. They've been called blobs of cells and products of conception. What does the no longer mysterious, the obvious humanity and liveliness of my patients demand? They demand our solidarity, our compassion, our protection. They demand the end of the breathtaking, casual cruelty of unfettered abortion, where the powerful make all the decisions and the powerless pay with their lives, or in the case of their poor mothers, with broken hearts and unending grief. As science has illuminated the darkness of the womb and clarified for us just what is at stake, I hope and pray for compassion and solidarity to illuminate the darkness of our laws, lifting them out of the cold shadows and into the warm light of goodness for my patients. And if I could say in Spanish, los latinos amamos este país, es la maravilla, pero tenemos que ayudar a arreglarlo, porque sí existe la posibilidad de matar a nuestros hijos hasta el momento de que nacen, y eso es terrible. Tenemos que endulzar esta nación. Hagámoslo, endulcemos esta nación. Gracias.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Melanie Israel, policy analyst at Heritage Foundation.
All right, good morning, everybody. What a great day to be here out in front of the Supreme Court. Y'all, Roe versus Wade is one of the most controversial decisions in American history. After nearly half a century, it's still unsettled. Why is that? It's because the result of Roe and the means that this court used to get there have been profoundly damaging to our society and to our Constitution. After all, nothing in our Constitution's text supports a right to abortion. Nothing in its structure, nothing in its history, nothing in its tradition. The role of this court is to interpret the Constitution, not ignore the Constitution, and impose its own policy preferences. But that's what happened in 1973. What about Americans' policy preferences? Let's talk about that. This court tried to lead America toward a radically permissive abortion regime, and our country largely hasn't followed. Most Americans don't support the very abortions that Roe made legal. They don't support a regime of abortion on demand through all 9 months of pregnancy for any reason whatsoever. They find it shocking that we are only one of 7 countries in the entire world that allows elective abortion after 20 weeks. We're in the company of countries like China and North Korea. Americans find that shocking. Americans across this country know that our laws should protect innocent human lives, including those who are not yet born. And society should support women who are facing a challenging or an unplanned pregnancy. That's why we've seen states enact more than 1,000 life-affirming laws since 1973. Informed consent requirements, protections for babies who survive an abortion, conscience rights protections for medical professionals, policies that separate your tax dollars from funding abortion activity. But this court's abortion jurisprudence is a barrier to states pursuing more life-affirming policies that protect women, that protect unborn children, and are rooted in modern science. Roe is vague. Roe is unworkable. Roe is unsettled. And it's long past time for this court to make a constitutional course correction. That's right. It's time for this court to correct a grave error. And we will continue the work to empower women and promote life. Thank you.
Wonderful. Who here has heard of National Right to Life? Please welcome Carol Tobias, the president of National Right to Life, to our stage.
Thank you, Allison. This is a great day, and I am honored to be here with you as we are working toward the day when unborn children are protected. America needs to know what is being argued in this case today. So I am going to read the opening section of the Mississippi law under debate. Be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Mississippi This section shall be known and cited as the Gestational Age Act. Legislative findings and purpose. The legislature makes the following findings of fact and incorporates them herein by reference. The United States is one of only 7 nations in the world that permits non-therapeutic or elective abortion on demand after the 20th week of gestation. In fact, fully 75% of all nations do not permit abortion after 12 weeks gestation, except in most instances to save the life and to preserve the physical health of the mother. Medical and other authorities now know more about human prenatal development than ever before, including that between 5 and 6 weeks gestation, an unborn human being's heart begins beating. An unborn human being begins to move in the womb at approximately 8 weeks gestation. At 9 weeks gestation, all basic physiological functions are present. Teeth and eyes are present, as well as external genitalia. An unborn human being's vital organs begin to function at 10 weeks gestation. Hair, fingernails, and toenails also begin to form. At 11 weeks gestation, an unborn human being's diaphragm is developing, and he or she may even hiccup. He or she is beginning to move about freely in the womb. At 12 weeks gestation, an unborn human being can open and close his or her fingers, starts to make sucking motions, and senses stimulation from the world outside the womb. Importantly, he or she has taken on the human form in all relevant aspects. These are the biologically accurate findings in the Mississippi law. And that is why Mississippi is today asking the court to allow protections for preborn children before viability. These little ones are members of the human family and deserve to be protected. Viability is an ever-changing standard and therefore unworkable as the timeline for abortion. For many years, babies were thought to be viable at 28 weeks. Now they are generally considered to be viable at 24, but babies are surviving at 21 weeks. Viability is not a characteristic of the baby, but of how advanced our technology has become. Mississippi seeks to protect from abortion unborn babies after 15 weeks, babies with fingers and toes and heartbeats and brain waves and functioning organs. Life has surely begun, and the state has the right, indeed the duty, to protect that life. I pray the Supreme Court sees these little ones as the precious human beings they are, regardless of age. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Payet. Our next speaker, she welcomes us. She traveled a far way to get here. Well, now she lives here. Please welcome Teresa Bukovac with the Progressive Atheist Against Abortion Uprising. Welcome.
It's POW, the Progressive Anti-Abortion Uprising. 48 years ago, the justices of this court unleashed a horror that has brutally taken the lives of over 62 million American babies. The injustice of abortion relies on 2 monumental lies. In 1973, in Roe versus Wade, the court said, "We don't know when life begins." That was an unscientific lie. And in 1992, in Planned Parenthood v. Casey, the court said that women need abortion to succeed in a man's world. That was a misogynistic lie. But today, December 1st, 2021, life-affirming people from across the political and religious spectrum, including progressive atheists like me, have hope. Because it is never too late to expose the truth. Now I need you guys to repeat after me, and I want you to give it all you got. Expose the truth. All right, now I'm going to say the names of the justices. And when I say their names, you say, expose the truth. Justice Barrett. Justice Kavanaugh. Justice Gorsuch. Justice Kavanaugh. Justice Kagan. Justice Sotomayor. Justice Alito. Justice Breyer. Justice Thomas. And Chief Justice Roberts. Repeat after me. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Roe v. Wade has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Roe v. Wade has got to go. All right, everybody, put your fist in the air. We shall overcome. Thank you.
Great job. All right, guys. If you have a sign in your hand, when I count to 3, I want you to raise it. My friend Mark's going to get an epic, historic picture of what you have done. I wish you could see what this looks like. 1, 2, 3. Raise your sign. All right. Keep them up. Keep them up. Let's chant. Protect. Empower women, promote life. 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 All right, thank you. Our next speaker is Catherine Glenn Foster, President and CEO of Americans United for Life. Welcome, Catherine.
Good morning, pro-life America. I'm Catherine Glenn Foster. I'm a constitutional attorney, and I am privileged to serve as President and CEO of Americans United for Life. Americans United for Life advances the human right to life in culture, law, and policy. We have been advocating for preborn children, for mothers, for fathers, and for families since before Roe. We were founded in 1971 to protect human life. We argued in Roe v. Wade that abortion is unconstitutional. We've been advocating for 50 years, not only for the reverse of Roe, but for a better, more generous, more wholesome America. Don't we want that? I know we can get there. We all want an America where we can lift one another up. That's what Mississippi is courageously striving to do, to lift up those most marginalized, to lift up women who feel that they have no other choice than abortion, and to protect vulnerable preborn children. Mississippi is lifting up women, and they're lifting up children. This Supreme Court, the most powerful political body in America, has wrongly marginalized the most vulnerable and the least powerful ever since Roe v. Wade wiped out America's pro-life laws from coast to coast. It's time for the killing to end. Our work at Americans United for Life is powered by Americans of all ages, backgrounds, and beliefs. And all of us call upon this court to uphold Mississippi's common sense pro-life law. And not only that, we stand with Mississippi's courageous plea to the court to reverse Roe v. Wade. We all know Roe lies at the heart of America's multi-decade culture war. And only the court can end the culture wars by stopping the killing that it has forced upon our body politic for far too long. Let's talk about what we all know to be true. We know that abortion inherently treats equals as unequals. We know that true justice, the justice we can all know by the light of our reason, the justice that lies in our hearts, it reveals that abortion is fundamentally unjust, systemically unjust. Abortion is unconstitutional. Roe must go, and abortion must stop for so many millions of vulnerable futures to start. Roe is unsettled. It's unsettled because the court keeps having to revisit it over and over and over again. It's unsettled because the American people have never accepted it. Because lawmakers keep pushing, because people like you keep showing up on the courthouse steps to say that we will never stop fighting for the constitutional right to life. This is the moment to keep pushing past 15 weeks, past heartbeat, all the way to that moment that a distinct and an unrepeatable human person comes into existence. Thank you, Mississippi. Your courage is contagious. You inspire me. And I hope today that our witness and the 50-plus years of powerful witnesses to life across America will finally inspire this great court to deliver justice for Mississippi and for America. Thank you.
Thank you. You know how I keep mentioning those pro-life OBGYNs over there and physicians? Please welcome their fearless leader, Dr. Christina Francis, Chairman of the American Association of Pro-Life OBGYNs.
Hello, it's great to be here with everyone. All women deserve excellent health care and fully informed consent. All women deserve to know that it is undisputed scientific fact that a new, distinct, and living human being comes into existence at the moment of fertilization. And all women deserve to know the abortion industry and their allies lie because they don't care about their health. Instead, they only care about politics. I am here today with 80 medical professionals from all over our nation. We are board-certified physicians, and we are not the minority. We represent the more than 90% of OBGYNs who do not perform abortions. We represent the tens of thousands of medical professionals who work tirelessly to protect and promote the dignity of our patients and who value professional integrity and rely on peer-reviewed medical evidence, not on politics, to treat our patients, both born and preborn. We are here today to unequivocally declare abortion is not health care. The ending of human life has no place in the practice of medicine nor in a civilized society. In the last 50 years, medical technology and our scientific knowledge has improved dramatically, especially when it comes to understanding prenatal life. As an OBGYN who has delivered thousands of babies, I can confirm that when I care for pregnant women, I am caring for two patients. And my duty is to take excellent care of both of them. Our motto of healthy mom and healthy baby illustrates how fallacious the idea is that a woman and her child are pitted against one another. In fact, mother and child benefit each other throughout pregnancy and beyond. Over the last 50 years, a wealth of research has shown that induced abortion causes an increased risk of preterm birth and future pregnancies, breast cancer, and mental health disorders such as depression, anxiety, and suicide. Women should be told the truth about the procedures that will be done to them and their child, procedures that carry significant risk of permanent damage to them, and that are done on a living and often pain-capable fetal human being. And yes, the science supports the fact that babies can feel pain in the womb. As physicians who value not only the lives of our patients, but also the oath that we took to respect life, we are calling on our colleagues to restore integrity to the practice of medicine. Medical integrity starts with standing with our most vulnerable patients who cannot advocate for themselves. Medical integrity means that we value all human beings, regardless of their size or age or socioeconomic level. In the words of a trailblazer in medicine, Dr. Mildred Jefferson, yes, that's right. The right to life cause is not the concern of only a special few, but it should be the cause of all those who care about fairness and justice, love and compassion, and liberty with law. Doctors like me are out here today for the same reason we scrub in every day, to save lives, to empower women, and to protect our patients. So thank you, Mississippi, for fighting for our integrity, and thank you for protecting our patients.
Wonderful. We need more like her. Our next speaker is Lauren Castillo, Regional Director of Students for Life of America. If you're here with Students for Life, let us hear you. Get your signs up.
Where's the pro-life generation at? It's an honor to be here today. They're pretty loud over there, but you know what? They met their match with me. When I was faced with an unplanned pregnancy in college, I was double majoring in an honors program, working 2 jobs, and was a primary caretaker with my family to my mom who was undergoing cancer treatment. I was unmarried, and many people close to me said that abortion was my best option. How would I finish college? What would I do with my lofty career dreams? But they were wrong. Because not only did that inspire me to work even harder, to take better care of myself, but giving life to my son who's standing here with me today changed my life for the better and empowered me. My son showed me what true empowerment for women looks like. He inspired an authentic confidence in my ability to help carve a future for my family and myself. And he set a whole new vision for what my career would look like that I had never even dreamed of. I went into labor on a Thursday, and I was back in class on Monday morning. I was figuring out what life as a new mom looked like and finishing my degree with the support of my family, the support of his incredible dad, who eventually became my husband. And I graduated on May 5th in 2013, holding 2 honors degrees in this hand and my son in my next hand. It was during that time that I realized that there was a future for me where I could help empower other women make that same decision, as my mom helped empower me as a new mom who's with me today as well. I wanted to educate other young people on their rights as a pregnant and parenting student. I wanted to help change those policies on college campuses across the nation that often serve as barriers to these women deciding to choose life for their babies. I wanted to transform those college campuses as places where women never had to question whether or not they could give life to their babies or graduate with their degrees or pursue their dream careers, because they can have it all. I wanted to help women decide that it's okay to place their babies with a loving family and an adoption plan and give life to them or parent. And that's where I met Students for Life of America. And it inspired me to take a leap of faith in this career as a pro-life missionary, where I traveled around the beautiful Rocky Mountains. I'm from Colorado. Yep. Woo! and inspire other leaders to make life-affirming places on their campuses, in their communities, and engage in dialogue with those people over there, with their neighbors, their family members, the people in their churches, to open their hearts and minds and turn away from supporting the violence of abortion. As a mom of 4 who's married to a wonderful man who helps support our family and is holding down the fort with our other 3 babies at home, I'm able to serve full-time doing this still, and I work for an organization, a pro-life organization, who understands how to empower working moms. I work in an environment where women in the pro-life movement can flourish with their careers, their passions, and their families while making a tangible difference in the world, saving lives and empowering other women. And since 2006, Students for Life has worked tirelessly in all 50 states, have over 1,250 groups, and have trained over 130,000 young activists across the nation. We launched our Standing With You initiative aimed at equipping our nation's schools to create a pro-life environment and culture on college campuses so that women don't have to sit sideways in their desks like I did 9 months pregnant. They don't have to stand up in their cost accounting classes like I did 9 months pregnant, where they can feel supported and feel comfortable finishing their education. My son changed the way I saw the world around me, and choosing life for him empowered me. I never questioned my decision to become a young working mom in the pro-life movement because I've been able to embrace my motherhood, live out the career of my dreams, and help other women see the beauty of motherhood and support them along the way. And my son wanted to share just a few words with you.
We can stop abortion. We can together. Save the babies. Save the babies. Save the babies.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you. All right. Please welcome Teresa Collette, professor at the University of St. Thomas School of Life.
This is so heartening to see you all here because we know the truth and the court's going to hear us. Yeah. So my name is Teresa Collette, and I, with Erica Bacciacci and Helen Alvarez, represent over 240 women who made their voices known in a brief to the U.S. Supreme Court. And what we said is that the premise of Planned Parenthood versus Casey, that women need abortion in order to participate fully in the governance of this country, to participate fully in the workforce, to participate fully generally throughout society, is simply false. It was a myth that was actually propagated by 3 justices. And what did they rely on for this authoritative, factual statement? A feminist, Marxist, obscure book by some scholar like myself. Now, they had 20 years of experience with abortion. They could have actually checked the facts to see if women's participation correlated with abortion, but they didn't bother to do it. So what we did is we did the hard work that the court hasn't done. Our brief looked at the 50 years of violence to the unborn in our society, and what we discovered is when abortion goes down, women's education goes up. Huh. When abortion goes down, women's participation in the professions goes up. What we know now is that there are more women in law school and med school than men. The simple fact is that women succeed in spite of abortion, not because of it. So let's be clear, Mr. and Ms. Justices. You were wrong on the facts in Casey. You were wrong on the law in Roe, and it's time to overrule both cases. Woo!
Great job. Our next speaker is Destiny Herndon De La Rosa, co-founder of New Wave Feminists. Give her a round of applause. Hey, y'all. So, my mother was only 19 years old when she got pregnant with me. She was attending the University of Texas at Austin, Hookham. At At the time, this was 10 years after Roe had gone into effect, and I'm sure plenty of people would have said that aborting me was the responsible choice. But she knew, even then, that I was a human being because science had proven that to her beyond a shadow of a doubt. She believed in bodily autonomy so much that she protected my body from the moment it first existed. That is true feminism. However, in order for her to continue her pregnancy, she had to move back home. It took her about 10 years to complete her degree, during which time we experienced numerous struggles, unnecessary struggles, struggles that shouldn't have had to happen and wouldn't have happened if female fertility and pregnancy was actually accommodated in our society. But it's not. And why? Why? The answer's simple. Because we live in a patriarchy, which means a world that was built by men for men. A world that sees the cis heteronormative male body as the only one worthy of truly succeeding in our established systems. A world that penalizes women's fertility, and if we have the audacity to want to participate fully in academia or the workforce, it only offers us abortion as a solution. It's a cop-out. It's a cop-out because if you follow the money, you'll realize it's much cheaper for a pregnant person to have a $500 abortion than to potentially require government aid for up to 18 years. It's a cop-out because it's much cheaper for pregnant people to have an abortion than for universities to actually accommodate pregnant and parenting students. It's a cop-out because it's much cheaper for us to have an abortion than for companies to offer paid family leave. It's a cop-out because it's easier for America to pressure pregnant migrant women, who I work with and love, into ending the lives of their unborn children than to provide the safety nets and assistance required to honor the human dignity of more people seeking refuge in our country. Just follow the money. They're lying when they say it's about a woman's right to choose. We know that because so many post-abortive people will tell you that the only reason they ever had an abortion in the first place was because they felt like they had no other choice at all. Well, we're sick of settling for what's deemed equality in this male-normative culture. This altar of equality that demands the lives of our children in order to fully function in a male-centered society is anything but equal. We are here to demand more. We are here to once and for all smash the real patriarchy, not our children and not our fertility.
Thank you so much, Destiny. Let me introduce you to Heather Hacker, lawyer and a former Assistant Solicitor General. Welcome, Heather.
Good morning. My name is Heather Hacker. I'm an attorney. I practice before the Supreme Court, but most importantly to me, I'm also a mom of 3. It was my privilege to file 2 amicus briefs in the Dobbs case on behalf of wonderful clients. The first brief was on behalf of Professor Carter Sneed from Notre Dame Law School and Professor Mary Ann Glendon from Harvard University. The second brief was on behalf of 3 esteemed and highly qualified women physicians: Dr. Gracie Christie, who you heard from earlier, a radiologist in Miami, Florida; Dr. Colleen Malloy, a neonatologist at Northwestern University; and Dr. Monique Chiraud-Wubenhorst, an OB-GYN and global public health expert who was on the faculty at Duke University Medical School and was the Deputy Assistant Administrator in the Bureau for Global Health and the U.S. Agency for International Development. These briefs were different, but they were united in arguing that the time has come for the court to overrule Roe and Casey. As the brief for Professors Sneed and Glendon outlines, Roe's right to abortion is not grounded in the text, history, or tradition of the Constitution. Casey acknowledged Roe's poor reasoning and acknowledged that Roe did not adequately account for the state's significant interest in protecting unborn life. But Casey merely substituted the undue burden standard. That standard has proven to be totally arbitrary. As one federal appellate judge pointed out, no one knows what the undue burden standard allows, except for the Supreme Court. That is not a workable legal standard. The theme for the brief that I filed for the women physicians is follow the science. As a radiologist, neonatologist, and OB-GYN, these physicians have had a front row seat to the amazing advancements in technology that have taken place over the last 50 years since Roe. Thanks to advancements in ultrasound, we know more about the unborn child, its development, and its behavior in the womb than we did in 1973 or even in 1992 when Casey was decided. Ultrasound technology has revealed not only the sex of unborn babies, allowing the public to celebrate gender reveals and baby showers before that baby is born, but has also unequivocally revealed the fully human image of the unborn child. Technology has allowed babies to survive born at even 21 weeks gestation, nearly 2 months earlier than Roe contemplated. Science has also led to the recognition of the unborn child by mainstream medicine as a patient in her own right. Doctors can treat babies for medical conditions in the womb as early as the first trimester. Doctors could even perform surgery on unborn babies well before viability. Medical research also shows that it is possible for the unborn child to feel pain as early as 12 weeks gestation. Yet Casey's outdated viability standard renders these significant scientific developments legally irrelevant. Casey's viability standard is stuck in the past. As these briefs argue, the court should bring their jurisprudence into the future, discard the legally unworkable standards of Roe and Casey, and hand the job of responding to current science, which clearly supports the protection of unborn children as members of the human family, back to the states where it belongs. Thank you.
Thanks, Heather. Great job. Hey, pro-life movement, where you at? How many here have been to the National March for Life? Who here is so happy it's warmer than it usually is at the National March for Life? Please welcome Jeannie Mancini, President of March for Life.
Awesome, and I'll just use that one. Can you all hear me? Oh, no, okay. Oh, that's all right. I'll do. I am blessed to be president of the March for Life, the organization that coordinates our world's largest annual peaceful human rights demonstration every single year. Thank you for all of you who've been involved in that. Nearly 49 years ago, on January 22nd, 1973, our country was forever changed when 7 men in this building behind us handed down Roe v. Wade, forever changing American history by imposing a radical expansion of abortion to all 50 states. Since that time, we've tragically lost over 62 million Americans to abortion, and many mothers and fathers regret having been involved in their abortion. When one life is taken through abortion, another is wounded. Many brave men and women have stood here to share their stories of regret having been involved in abortion every year at the end of the March for Life, and we thank them for this. In response to this tragic injustice, our organization, the March for Life, began 1 year after Roe in January 1974. Since that time, we've continued to March for Life every year here in DC and now in the States. Collectively, millions of pro-life Americans have marched here in front of this court over the years. And we stand up for the poorest of the poor, the most vulnerable, the unborn child in its mother's womb. Much to the dismay of abortion activists, pro-life Americans have not become desensitized to abortion. In fact, just the opposite has occurred. The March for Life grows every single year. And folks, I can't think of a more tangible or hopeful sign that our justices see every single January that Roe and Casey are not settled law. Let me say that one more time. I can't think of a more tangible or hopeful sign that Roe and Doe are not settled law. The American people don't want it. We are united here today by our common understanding that every life from the moment of conception is precious and deserves legal representation. When it comes to the inherent dignity of the human person, skin color doesn't matter. Disability status doesn't matter. Socioeconomic background doesn't matter. Every life is precious, and an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And that is why we march every single January. Being pro-life is pro-woman. We know that choosing life is not always easy, but it is empowering for women. At the March for Life, and all of us standing here today want to empower women with the message that they don't have to choose between the life of their baby and their future. I speak on behalf of millions of marchers calling for the Supreme Court to protect the inherent dignity of the human person and to empower women to choose life. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you so much, Jeannie. Guys, if we overturn Roe v. Wade, what are we going to do? We're going to still march? You better get up with a plan. We'll just come march and be happy. It's overturned. We still fight for life, even if it's overturned, right? Goes back to us in the States. Awesome. All right, our next speaker is Christina Bennett from Live Action. Welcome, Christina.
I had an appointment to die. Before I was born at Mount Sinai Hospital in Hartford, Connecticut, my mother scheduled to abort me. She paid for an abortion because she felt forced by my father. As an unwed, pregnant woman, her spiritual mentor said, "If you come back to this church, I will put my foot in the door and not let you in." Afraid and alone, she decided to end my life. A hospital janitor saved me. She approached my mother in the hallway when she saw her crying. The janitor asked her a simple life-saving question. "Do you want to have this baby?" My mother said yes. And the janitor said, "Then God will give you the strength." That day, a janitor offered my mother true empowerment. The hospital counselor told her abortion was the best decision. The abortion doctor screamed at her and rebuked her. He told her, "You've already paid for this. You're just nervous. Don't leave this room." Too many women, like my mother, feel forced to end their pregnancies in an effort to please others. But once women enter an abortion facility, they are not treated as medical patients. They are treated as disposable objects. And those objects are preyed upon by the multi-billion-dollar abortion industry. Every day in our nation, 2,363 children are lost to the violence of abortion. Every single day, 2,363 children are not given the opportunity that I was when my mother walked out of the abortionist's office. Every day, 2,363 children, beautiful, unique, world-changing souls are snuffed out before they even get a chance to live. Planned Parenthood and their allies tell us that children are nothing more than a liability to women, something that holds us back and keeps us from achieving our dreams. That is a lie. We know that women can thrive when we support each other by offering true empowerment. Empower. E, empathy. M, mercy. P, perspective. O, giving women opportunities. W, women and children knowing they are wanted. E, offering encouragement. And R, reassurance. Most importantly, women need to feel our support and love. C.S. Lewis wrote that courage is not simply one of the virtues, but the form of every virtue at the testing point. With truth, compassion, and vigor, we must be courageous in our defense of our youngest brothers and sisters. I am alive today because my mother was offered truth with compassion. She canceled my appointment to die, and she gave me the gift of life. Live the truth courageously. Live it so clearly that the Supreme Court is left with only the right decision. Empower women. Fight for children. End abortion. Fight for the 2,363 children. And I want to end with a prayer. Jesus, I plead your blood over my sins and the sins of my nation. God, end abortion and send revival to America.
Great job, Christina. Thank you. All right. I'm excited to announce our next guest, an amazing legal powerhouse, a mom herself. We are going to hear from Kristen Wagner, General Counsel of Alliance Defending Freedom. Welcome, Kristen.
Good morning. What a great day. I'm Kristen Wagner. I'm a constitutional lawyer and I'm a mom. And I work for Alliance Defending Freedom, the largest legal organization that's committed to protecting life, parental rights, religious freedom, and free speech. Nearly 50 years ago, the United States Supreme Court imposed legal abortion on demand nationwide. And that decision, Roe versus Wade, is undemocratic, it's unconstitutional, and it is unjust. With the stroke of just a pen, it stripped women and unborn children of critical legal protections and created rights out of whole cloth. It created an entire abortion industry that preys on women, that's focused more on making a buck than caring for someone in need. All one needs to do is walk into the Planned Parenthood office, seeing the credit card machines, the payment terms, and the focus on profit, and then go into a pregnancy resource center, one of the thousands of pregnancy resource centers in the nation, and see how they provide free care to women, to children, and even women who are post-abortive. The kind of care they provide is amazing. Some say that the court will undermine its illegitimacy if it reverses Roe. We heard one of the justices talk on that in just a few minutes ago. But you know what? The opposite is true. Scholars across the spectrum agree that Roe is not based in history, it's not based in the text, and it is not based in the structure of the Constitution. Even Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg agreed and said the decision was difficult to justify. It's an exercise of raw judicial power. And the New York Times, let me tell you, they got it drastically wrong when they said Roe would be a historical resolution of a fiercely controversial issue. Hardly. For nearly 50 years now, women and their families in our communities have suffered the devastating consequences. Nothing short of legal chaos, which is simply due to a web of legal rules that are nowhere found in the Constitution. We've also seen the moral coarsening of a society that tolerates the discarding of life because someone tells us it's imperfect or inconvenient. And most significantly, we've lost 60 million Americans, many of whom would be thriving in all kinds of respects. Roe is not only unjust, but it is built and supported on lies, absolute lies. The abortion industry depends on those lies to continue. They lie when they say unborn children don't deserve rights. They lie when they say that women can't be equal to men if they don't have abortion. And they lie when they say women can't be successful without it. They lie when they say abortion has no emotional, physical, or spiritual consequences. And they lie when they say Roe can't be overturned. So you know what? Truth will prevail. And I want to tell you this. There are two generations of women and men who are here today, many who have relentlessly prayed and labored and toiled to see the day when Roe is done. And these truth tellers, they will press on with charity and with love until that day comes. Why? Because life is a human right, and healthy and stable societies, we protect human rights. It's as simple as that.
Great job. Thank you so much, Kristen. Next, well, first, I want to hear, because I know this next group turned out thousands of people today. Where's Concerned Women for America? Awesome. Please welcome your fearless leader, Penny Nance.
Good afternoon. See you over there.
Penny Nance. I'm the president of Concerned Women for America, the nation's largest public policy women's organization, and we're pro-life. I'm joined today from women around the country, from Texas, 20 hours in a bus from Houston, Texas, because they believed so deeply in being here. Women from North Dakota, from California, from New Mexico, from around the nation. And we have about 1,100 students here today, a bunch from Liberty University. Let me hear ya. And joined with me is their president, Dr. Jerry Prevost. Thank you for being here. Now, I want to make sure that everybody here lets their voices be heard. So we're going to say the word life, and we're going to say it 10 times. And we want to let them hear it on the inside. You ready? Let's go. I'm going to get up way up here. Let me hear you say it. Life, 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 life. Thank you. You know, the stain of abortion is on this nation. And I just want to get real for just a minute. This is deep and it is serious. We have with us women that are leaders at Concerned Women for America, leaders in the pro-life movement, who are so deeply wounded by abortion. We understand while we're here. We are here to stand for the least of these and stand for their mothers who are so broken. We as a nation want to come around them and give them better alternatives. Hats off to Texas that just appropriated $100 million for alternatives to abortion. Hats off to over 3,000 pregnancy care centers around the country through private dollars who care for women. Hats off to the volunteers who love women and take them into our home. And I want to stand here and say, it is a lie out of the pit of hell that pits the dreams and the hopes of women against the very life of their unborn child. It's a lie, and we stand today against it. So, for all the people that say that we need abortion for equality, women are equal. For all the lies, the people who say women need abortion for freedom, we were born free. It is a lie to say that our hopes and our dreams and aspirations would be dashed if we have a baby. Our hopes and dreams will be realized by hard work, by the grace of God, by sacrifice, and by love of our neighbors and community. And as a church, we will step by and link arms and love you. Choose life. This is our moment. This is why we've marched all these years. It's why we prayed, we've advocated, we walked the halls of Congress. We walked in our state legislatures. This is our moments to stand for the least of these and to make sure that those 9 justices on the inside understand that women want life. 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 I love it that one of the other speakers ended in a prayer. So if you'll just 1 minute join me. And in a little nod to Sister Amy on the inside, who was pummeled in the New York Times because her church lifts their hands when they pray, I'm going to do the same. You might want to join me. Dear Heavenly Father, we pray for Lynn Fitch on the inside, arguing for life. Father, we stand before you and we pray for the Holy Spirit to be present, for truth to reign supreme inside the Supreme Court. And we stand at this minute, called before you, called to account as a nation, asking you to forgive us for the lives of 62 million babies who've been sacrificed on a false altar to false gods. And we ask your forgiveness. You ask you, God, to anoint the church to stand for and to care for these babies and these mothers. Help us love and love each other and love our enemies and to care for the least of these. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Great job, Penny. Thank you. All right. You guys, as Penny was speaking, we were joined by some amazing female legislators, many from the Mississippi area. So please join me first in welcoming Congresswoman Kat Cammack from Florida.
All right. You guys, this is a historic day, and I could not be more proud to stand here with you all today, but the millions of Americans who are fighting every single day to protect the lives of those most vulnerable, the unborn. You guys, this moment is one that we need to recognize as a turning point in our country. Can we get an amen? Yes. I am standing here today, the youngest Republican woman in Congress, a fighter for the unborn, because quite frankly, 33 years ago, my mom was faced with an impossible, seemingly impossible decision. The doctors told her, after she had endured a debilitating stroke at the age of 27, that she would never be able to survive childbirth again. And most certainly, the child would not survive. So years went by, and when my mom found herself pregnant, alone, scared, and with no one to stand behind her, not even her own family, with doctors telling her that she would not survive, that the child would not survive, and that abortion was the only choice, my mom, against all odds, she made the bravest decision of all. She chose life. And so today I am here because of a very brave woman who decided that life was worth protecting, that God had a plan, not just for her, but for her unborn daughter. And she was able to deliver a healthy baby girl. And so today, I stand here, someone who was never destined to be in Congress, someone who was never destined to take my first breath. And it's in large part because of the work that every single one of you have done to support and really fight for that critical, most basic tenet that our country is built upon: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But we all know that today we are fighting for who we are as a people and as Americans. And it begins with life. Thank you to every single one of you for being here. Thank you for fighting for all the little girls and all the rights that they deserve as Americans in the womb. Today is the turning point. We will persevere. We will succeed. We will overcome. And we will overturn Roe v. Wade. Right? Thank you so much. Thank you for empowering women. Thank you for being here. And God bless.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. Please join me in welcoming the amazing Representative Jamie Herrera Butler and Ethan Butler.
Thanks, buddy. What a privilege to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you to the Students for Life. I'm going to move this. I'm a little bit taller. Thank you to the Students for Life who camped out right here all night long to save this space. Thank you. And I want to thank Attorney General Lynn Fitch, and Americans United for Life for inviting me and all of us here today to stand united for life. We're all gathered here for one reason. We believe that life is worth protecting and that the Supreme Court should uphold that truth. We're all gathered here for that. And I've been a passionate pro-life supporter my entire life, actually. But it became very personal for me when I was pregnant with my first daughter, Abigail. She was diagnosed with a condition called bilateral renal agenesis, which is also known as Potter syndrome more commonly. And it means that her kidneys never developed, which what they told us was she would either miscarry, or if I chose to carry her to term, she would suffocate at birth because her lungs would not develop. Doctors told us that our unborn baby, with 100% certainty, would die. No one had ever survived. And we were definitely urged to abort her. I was told it would be better off for me emotionally if I hit reset and started over, rather than try and carry her to term for a live birth. And my husband, Daniel, and I, we were devastated. We cried, we prayed. But importantly, we learned to contend for our unborn baby. And we tried something that had never been successful before, saline infusions in utero to mimic that amniotic fluid. And then something impossible happened. Our baby girl developed lungs even without kidneys. Through divine intervention and some amazing, courageous doctors who were willing to take a risk, we now get to experience that miracle. Our 8-year-old, Abigail Rose. She's a happy, healthy big sister who says someday she's going to be the boss of mommy's work. Look out, Speaker Pelosi. Let me take a moment to say specifically, if you're a mother-to-be and you're watching this and you're in a similar situation and you're wondering, should I abort? I want you to know something, that Jesus loves you and he still does miracles. Now, if you're watching this and you've already chosen to abort, I want you to know something, that Jesus loves you and he still does miracles. For those of us who are gathered here today, it's just the beginning. It really is just the beginning. I pray we get a good outcome with Dobbs, and we finally end Roe's viability rule, which has blocked pro-life legislators across the U.S. from implementing laws to save lives. But in order to sustain those life-giving policies, we must also do something else, and it's of equal importance. We must commit to seeing lasting change in the hearts and the minds of our fellow countrymen. And that change will come if we choose to serve and love them. And I'm going to say that one more time. We must serve and love them, including those with whom we disagree. Mothers in tough situations need to know that they have an army of support behind them, not against them, because they're facing real, dramatic challenges. And that's our charge here today. Attorney General Fitch is in there right now making the case for life in the highest court of our land. Our responsibility is to ensure that the needs of the most vulnerable in our local communities are met. And it is the combination of that legal protection and sustained community love and support that will protect these unborn babies. One without the other won't stand the test of time, and that's what we're here for. So thank you for having me. God bless. All right, monkeys.
Thank you for bringing your family. Love getting to see everyone's families today. Our next speaker is Marjorie Dannenfelser, president of Susan B. Anthony List. Please welcome her.
I would stand up on this, but I'm so sure that I'm going to fall, so I'm not going to do that, and I'm short. Wow, beautiful pro-life movement. It's very hard to see from standing in here, but what a beautiful group of people. If I could have you all over to my house, I would just invite you over. To live among you in the years that I've been involved in the pro-life movement has changed me in such beautiful ways. I'm so, so grateful. I want to tell you one thing that I'm 100% sure of, having gotten to know Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Victoria Woodhull. Now, I can't say that I'm that old, but I have gotten to know them very personally, at least through what I know about them. And if they were here, I know where they would be standing. They would not be standing over there. They would be standing right here among the beautiful pro-life, human rights-centered, new pro-life generation that this is. Friends, life is truly the human rights battle of our time. And from abolition to suffrage to the civil rights movement, people like you have stepped into the breach throughout history to address those wrongs. The pioneers of the women's movement clearly understood the violence and oppression that abortion was for women, and they adamantly opposed it to a person. Victoria Woodhull, the first woman to run for president, said that abortion exists, that this cruelty exists is evidence that there is a great wrong in our culture among us, and that she has been wronged. Susan B. Anthony, in her newspaper called The Revolution, said, "The act of abortion will burden her conscience in life. It will burden her soul in the grave. But thrice guilty is the one who drove her to the dreadful deed." Planned Parenthood. After half a century of abortion on demand and Roe versus Wade and 63 million children, impossible to fathom in our limited minds, but think of the one missing person and the effect of that and the ripple effects of losing that person. The countless wounded mothers and the brokenness and the suffering that radiates through our culture because of each one of these acts. We cannot possibly imagine it. Perhaps we'll understand it in heaven. But what you've done, if you've stepped up, you've stepped up to empower women, and that's why this rally is Empower Women, Promote Life. Empower women, promote life. I would have stood over there when I was in college, and now I stand here. And I want to tell you, I'm looking at your faces now, and the love that comes from the heart of this movement is impossible to miss. The need from that movement is also impossible to miss. And they need our love. They need invitation. And so we should invite them in our prayers, and I invite them now to join this beautiful movement. If there's anything that anybody has heard today on the other side of that fence that piques the conscience, as Susan B. Anthony said, that piques their conscience, take a step over that fence. Do like Abby Johnson did. Do like so many of my friends in this group did, and come on over and join us in the human rights movement of this day that is where love lives and love lets live. So instead of leading on human rights, the United States of America for the last 50 years has been a purveyor of the undermining of human rights. And look at the rest of the world. In 39 out of 42 European countries, 39 out of 42 European countries have more restrictive laws, more helpful laws than Mississippi's laws that is being considered today. So an opportunity so great like the one that we have right now doesn't come very often. This day has been hard won. This is America's chance to step back from the brink of being the purveyor of horrible human rights violations, not just here, but all over the world. So to turn the page back on this horrible chapter is what we need to do to move into a new, beautiful, and humane era for this country and for the rest of the world. One where every child, every mother is embraced in the law and served by us in terms of every need that they have. We urge the Supreme Court to listen to those better angels. We say to the court, don't flinch. This moment is a long time in the making. This is not the time to stumble. This is not the time to worry about what the world thinks. This is a time to focus on the gift of our founding documents, what's embedded in those, and let those be the aspirations of each Supreme Court justice. They are bound to do that in their oath. We beg that they not forget that oath. I'm proud to join Attorney General Fitch, such an incredible champion, and all the modern standard bearers of authentic feminism, all of you that I'm looking at right now. And as we carry on what is the best about the American tradition, standing for unalienable rights, standing for the marginalized, standing for truth, standing for life. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Marjorie. Hey, pro-life movement, give me a cheer. I don't know if you remember this, but you get to vote in pro-life representatives if you so choose, and we're so glad that they are here today representing us. Let me introduce to you Representative Michelle Fishbach.
Well, hello. It is so awesome to see the crowd and to see those pro-life signs, and we are so excited. I am Michelle Fishbach, and I'm the Congresswoman from Minnesota's 7th Congressional District, and I am grateful to be here on this historic day. Today, the Supreme Court has agreed to consider an important question. When should life be protected? The decision could mean a huge step forward to protect the unborn after almost 50 years of the tragic Roe versus Wade. I'm a mother, a grandmother, and co-chair of the Congressional Pro-Life Caucus, and I stand with all of you in defense of life, and we are here to be the voice for the voiceless. We know life is sacred, an unalienable right endowed by our Creator, but for nearly 5 decades, abortion has remained one of the biggest tragedies in our nation. The Supreme Court has imposed legal abortion on demand nationwide, and it has taken more than 60 million precious lives. It has affected countless mothers, fathers, and families, and now is our moment to change that. Since Roe versus Wade was decided in 1973, science and technology have learned so much more about fetal development. We now know that by 15 weeks, babies in the womb have a heartbeat, they can feel pain, they have arms and legs and toes and fingers, they can kick and jump, they can even yawn and hiccup. And yet, the Supreme Court has not changed their stance in accordance with any of this new information. We are just one of 7 nations, including China and North Korea, that allow abortion on demand beyond the point that babies can feel pain. In Europe, 47 out of 50 limit elective abortions to 15 weeks. Mississippi has taken a courageous step to start bringing America into the modern world. And they deserve our applause. Yeah. I have fought my entire life to protect the unborn, and it is an honor to be here with you today to support Mississippi's efforts to protect life in hopes that this country will right the horrific wrongs of the past. Thank you for being here today, and pray for the Supreme Court. Thank you.
All right. Guys, we have a hero, a legend in our midst. Please welcome Congressman Steve Scalise, House Republican Whip.
Well, how are y'all doing? What a beautiful day this is, but what a consequential day this is. This is our moment. When you look out and you see all of these people who for decades have been marching for life, who've been standing up for life, who've been working to elect pro-life elected officials at the state houses, here in Congress. This is our moment. It's days like today that we all do that work. I want to first thank every one of you who came here today to stand up for life, and I want to thank all of those people, millions of people around this country who have been standing up for life for decades, who have been working since Roe v. Wade to right that wrong. Today is our day. This is what we've been working for. When you look across the street at the Capitol, we've been trying. Every House Republican supports the Born Alive Act that says if a baby's born alive outside the womb, you can't kill that baby and call it abortion. Do you know we don't have one single taker on the Democrat side to support that bill over in the House? Elections have consequences. It's why we need to keep working. But we also work to elect pro-life presidents. And Donald Trump made 3 great appointments to the Supreme Court. There was a day when you had judges that thought that this document was something they could just take out a pen and rewrite at their own will. That's not how our founding fathers set up this Constitution. It's supposed to be interpreted based on how it was written. Let's pray that today these justices are hearing this case and remembering that of the 3 inalienable rights that are listed in the Constitution, the first right is life. Life is why we're here. Life is why we march. It's why we show up. Today is our day. God bless every one of you. Pray for the Supreme Court to make the right decision. Let's have this Mississippi law upheld. My colleagues here from Mississippi did their work. In states like Louisiana, my home state, we're proud to have pro-life legislatures that have already passed laws. There are at least a dozen states that have laws on the books today that if this case in Mississippi is upheld, those states get to defend life immediately in ways that they weren't prior to today. So this isn't just about Mississippi today. This is about protecting life all across America. God bless every one of you. Let's continue to stand up for life.
Great job. Thank you. I want you to know he's holding a copy of the Constitution in his hand. And last time I checked, there was no right to abortion in the Constitution. They're making the case inside the court today. I want to introduce to you Representative Vicki Hartzler. She is the co-chair of the House Pro-Life Caucus dedicated to fighting for life. Welcome, Representative Hartzler.
Hey, thank you. What a historic day for the past 48 years. Every day, thousands of future Americans have been snuffed out due to abortion. Individuals who could have been our neighbors, scientists who discovered cures for cancer, Alzheimer's, and other diseases, teachers who made a difference in the lives of hurting children, firefighters who saved your family's life, truck drivers who are key to the supply chain, workers who would be paying into the soon-to-be bankrupt Social Security system, all have been denied the right to life, and we are worse off because of it. Over 62 million American lives have been taken. It is wrong. It is tragic. It is heartbreaking, but that can all change today. Thanks to the wise actions of the Mississippi Pro-Life Legislature and the courageous leadership of Mississippi General Lynn Finch and her amazing legal team, the U.S. Supreme Court will have the opportunity to right a wrong, to declare that the U.S. Constitution does not grant a right to abortion. They have the opportunity to chart a new path for our nation, one that affirms what our founders declared, that we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, including the right to life. We need every little boy, every little girl, every future man and woman to have the chance to live. There are no expendable people. An unplanned pregnancy doesn't make that unborn life any less valuable. The circumstances of a pregnancy do not determine that person's destiny. God has a plan and a purpose for everyone. Every life is valuable and deserves to live. Today's case will affirm that. It can allow unborn babies whose heart is beating, who can feel pain, hiccup, swallow, suck their thumbs, respond to touch, and jump when startled, to be protected. Today's case can support the majority of Americans who don't support abortion late in the development. Today's case can put us in alignment with the rest of the world's abortion laws protecting life after 15 weeks. Today's case can right the wrong and birth a new day in America, one with possibilities, hope, and promise. The fate is in the hand of 9 justices and a praying nation. So today, at this historic moment where life stands literally in the balance, we're reminded of the powerful and convicting words Moses spoke to the nation of Israel, and declare the same charge to the 9 justices who are hearing these arguments and who hold the fate of thousands of lives in their hands. This day, I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you, that I have set before you life and death. Now, choose life. Let it be so. Amen.
Thank you so much, Representative Hartzler. What a great advocate for life. All right, I told you I'm from New Jersey. Is there anyone here from New Jersey? Woo! All right, well, please welcome a man who I trust knows good pizza, good bagels, and we know he loves babies, of Representative Chris Smith.
Thank you so very much. It is pizza time. First of all, thank you to Mississippi for their tremendous leadership. And thank you, each and every one of you, for being here, for your prayers, your advocacy at home, as well as here on Capitol Hill and before the Supreme Court. You know, my friends, injustice need not be forever. By affirming the Mississippi law, the Supreme Court can make a powerful step towards inclusion and justice and respect for the weakest and most vulnerable. As we all know, in 1973, the Supreme Court abandoned women and babies to what is now a multi-billion-dollar abortion industry. Shockingly, since the infamous 73 decisions, and Vicki just mentioned it a moment ago, more than 62.5 million babies have been killed by abortion, a staggering loss of life in children's lives that equates with the entire population of Italy. Abrogating both duty and due diligence, the 1973 court wrote, and I quote, "We need not resolve the difficult question of when human life begins." Really? Sidestepping that threshold question and giving no benefit of the doubt to the child, they went on to legalize and enable abortion on demand as if the baby was a tumor to be excised or a disease to be vanquished. For decades, right up until this very moment, abortion advocates have gone to extraordinary lengths to ignore, trivialize, and cover up the battered baby victim. But today, thanks to ultrasound, thanks to you, thanks to Mississippi, unborn babies are more visible than ever before, and we're on the precipice of protecting those innocent babies. Which all begs the question, why does dismembering a child with sharp knives or pulverizing a child with suction devices or chemically poisoning a baby with any number of toxic chemicals fail to elicit so much as a scintilla of empathy, mercy, or compassion from the so-called pro-choice advocates? Today, science informs us that birth is an event, albeit a very important one, but an event in the life of a child. It is not the beginning of life. Modern medicine treats unborn babies with disability and disease as a patient in need of diagnosis and treatment. Someday, future generations will look back on us and wonder how and why such a rich and seemingly enlightened society, professing to being devoted to human rights, so blessed and endowed with the capacity to protect the weakest and most vulnerable, could have instead so aggressively promoted death to children and the exploitation of women by abortion. I repeat, injustice need not be forever. Thank you.
So much. Thank you. All right. I need a sign up here, the one that says I'm 15 weeks old. Can I get a sign like that up here? Awesome. The next amazing senator wants to point to the media what we're fighting for today. Please welcome
Senator Steve Daines.
Well, thank you. I want to do a quick little thought experiment while we're here today. How many of you have a smartphone in your hand? Okay, now we've got some network issues because there's so many pro-lifers here right now. The network is saturated. But I want you to Google 15-week baby. 15-week baby. Google it right now and take a look at the image. You can click on images. And if it takes too long for that to load in your phone, I'm going to cut to the chase. And that is a 15-week-old baby. Now, let me ask you a question. If you were part of the NASA Mars lander team, and the Mars lander sends back that image from Mars, by show of applause, how many of you would say there is life on Mars? Listen, we have got to get the law to catch up with the technology. Remember going back to 1973, there were 9 men in black robes that decided that the right to abortion is somehow protected by our Constitution. How many of you think that was the right decision? What is protected are 2 things that are very clear. First, we can be thankful here in America that we can have a voice in protest, and frankly, we can be thankful there are others that can voice opposition. That right is protected in the First Amendment. We can stand here freely in this great nation and have a vigorous debate about this issue. What's also protected is the right to life. That is very, very clearly enumerated by our founding fathers. That is why the right decision for the Supreme Court to make in this polarizing moment in American history is to return this debate back to the states and the state legislatures. That is where it belongs, because 80% of the American people, 80%, do not support late-term abortions. Those 9 men in black robes in 1973, they got it wrong. It is time today to get it right. And if you've been listening to the oral arguments today, I know many of you are out here, so you're probably not hearing. I was back in my office minutes ago listening to Justice Roberts, who was questioning, is America on the right side when China and North Korea allow late-term abortion? Thank you, Justice Roberts, for asking that question. And let me tell you something. Justice Kavanaugh, who I'm very grateful I had a chance to vote for Justice Kavanaugh, vote for Justice Gorsuch, and vote for Amy Coney Barrett. You heard Justice Kavanaugh ask the question, doesn't this really belong to be decided back in the states? So I know many of you are praying diligently for this moment. Our prayers have been answered that we now have a case before us where not only will the court uphold the Mississippi law, but the court is going to overturn Roe versus Wade. And this will be a great moment for so many across our country. So thank you. I want to thank you for your prayers, for being here today, for showing up, for Marjorie Dannenfelter from SBA List is right here in front of me as well, and so many pro-life organizations around this country. Last night we were here with the Students for Life. How many Students for Life are here? Let me tell you, it's easier to be out here when it's warm. Last night it was cold, and they were here, and I'm just so proud of them. And lastly, let me say this. We're the grandparents of 2. Our daughter Annie is due with a new little baby on Friday. What an amazing gift that we can give to this next generation and the generation to be born by protecting their lives. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Senator Daines. Thank you so much for reminding the media what 15 weeks is for. Guys, you can't see this, but the pro-life movement showed up in mass. It goes all the way down the street, all the way across. I would say it's equal size. Now we just want equal rights, right? Let me introduce you to a guy who understands that argument, fights for it every day here in Washington, D.C., Senator James Langford.
Thank you very much. Just over here. Hey, it's great to see this amazing group of people, just a sea of folks that are over here. How many of you were here last night freezing? Let me see your hands. Listen, there were so many folks that are out here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for standing up for life. Thank you for speaking out. For all of you that are grown-up fetuses that are here, thanks for being out here saying, hey, I used to be 15 weeks old and look at me now. Thank you for being here and for standing up for one of the most obvious things that are out there. When you look at a picture of a child in the womb, there is no doubt you're looking at a human being. Children are not an inconvenience. Children are beautiful and are valuable, and every single person across this child was once in the womb, including every person on this side that's denying the right of the next generation to be alive. They were once in the womb as well. And so we are grateful to be able to have folks be out here. It's interesting to me the argument that's going on right now to say, let's just have abortion after viability. Now, and then we'll block it before it's viable, then after that, then we won't allow it. So here's my statement that I heard from my mom growing up. There was this old saying that was out there, maybe you've heard, you can't be a little bit pregnant. What they're trying to say is, oh, you can be a little bit pregnant, and while you're a little bit pregnant, you can have an abortion, but later you shouldn't be able to have an abortion. Listen, my mom was right. You can't be just a little bit pregnant. You're either pregnant or if you're not pregnant, and if you're pregnant, that's not tissue in you. That is a baby that is worth protecting, and that is a life. So for all the folks making the argument about a little bit pregnant, I just smile at them and say, that doesn't work. Because we all know positive on a pregnancy test means positive for a child that is there. And we're grateful to be able to help stand for, protect, speak out for the life of that child. Listen, our nation has been through instances like this before. Our country once called certain people 3/5 of a man. We did that. But we've also said that was wrong, and we've turned away from that. Our nation, and I see just a sea of ladies that are here, 101 years ago, none of the ladies that are in this crowd could have voted, but our nation said that's wrong, and we changed that. Our nation during World War II rounded up Japanese Americans and put them in camps. Our nation did that, but we came back and said that was wrong. 48 years ago, folks in this building said every state mandated must give the ability for people to kill their children. 48 years ago, we need to step out now and to say we were wrong. And that needs to change now. For all of you that have not given up hope, for all of you that are now living in the post-Roe generation just in a few months from now, this conversation will continue. It's one thing to make abortion illegal. It's another thing to make it unthinkable. And for us to be able to hold up the life and the value of that child and to say, this child's not inconvenient. This child is beautiful. So thanks for standing up for them. Thank you for what you're doing and being here.
Thank you so much, Senator Langford. All right, team. Oral arguments have concluded inside the court. We are just waiting for the visual of Attorney General Lynn Fitch to come out. And when she does, okay, I need all signs in the air, and we're going to chant the sign here, empower women, promote life, when she comes out so she sees and hears a ton of support. Guys, she's going to come right out and come right to us, which is so great. So, as we anticipate that big moment, I want to introduce you to a Mississippi member himself. Where is he? Guest, right here. Come on up. Thank you so much.
We stand today on the courts of on the steps of the United States Supreme Court, the highest court in this great nation that we call home. A nation that was divinely inspired. That divine inspiration can be seen in the very foundational documents of our country. In the preamble to the Declaration of Independence, we see these words penned. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Today we stand for that unalienable right to life that our founding fathers envisioned as this court revisits one of the most controversial decisions it has rendered in its history. On January 22nd, 1973, in the case of Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court, by the stroke of a pen, legalized abortion across our land. Now almost 50 years have passed since Roe was handed down, and because of that tragic decision, more than 60 million children have been robbed of their life through abortion. Individual states have enacted laws, states such as my home state of Mississippi. Our citizens and our leaders, especially our Attorney General, Lynn Fitch, have been instrumental in protecting the lives of the unborn. If our nation can unite around any singular issue, it should be that life is sacred, especially the life of a child. My favorite president, President Ronald Reagan, once said, America was founded on the moral proposition that human life, all human life, is sacred. And this proposition is the bedrock of our national life, the foundation of our laws. It is the wellspring of our Constitution. We know that the innocent life of a child is worth protecting because when we look into the eyes of a child, we see the miracle of life divinely created by our Heavenly Father. God's Word tells us that He has a plan for every child before they're born. Jeremiah 1:5 states, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. As we gather in this place where it all began, the United States Supreme Court, let us find comfort in knowing that we are fighting for truth. Let us find hope in knowing that we are fighting for mothers and families. But most important, let us find strength in knowing that we are fighting for one of God's greatest miracles, the gift of life. Thank you. May God bless you. May God bless the great state of Mississippi, and may God bless the United States of America.
Thank you. All right, guys, what a beautiful day. This is the moment we've been waiting for. Let's do a couple chants. I want to raise the energy so that they know we are alive out here. Our first chant is going to be for Lynn. Hopefully she walks out to here. We love Lynn. We love Lynn. We love Lynn. We love Lynn. She's coming out now. Love Lynn. We love Lynn. We love Lynn. We love Lynn. We love Lynn. All right, team. Empower women, promote life. 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 Empower women. Here she is, guys. Let her hear you. Signs up. Woo! Empower women, promote life. 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 All right, one more time. We're going to do We Love Lynn as she's right here. 1, 2, we love Lynn. 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 Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor of a lifetime to introduce to you a woman who is fighting to overturn Roe, Attorney General of Mississippi, Lynn Fitch.
Wow, what an amazing day, right? Wow. Thank you all so very much for being here. This is incredible. You can feel the compassion, the love of God who has us here to protect those unborn children and their mothers. Thank you for demonstrating hope for a better tomorrow, for the love and the compassion that we have for the women and their children who deserve better than abortion. You know, over the past 50 years, our world has changed. Technology's changed, science has changed, and certainly we know that life can be detected in the womb much earlier. As things have changed, the roles of men and women have been altered. The workplace has changed, all for the positive. It's been much easier for women to balance their professional life and their success at home. But society has made those changes, but yet with Roe v. Wade, we've not been able to incorporate those changes. But now, hopefully, we can. Roe v. Wade made it impossible. It is time that our laws caught up. No question about it. This gives us the opportunity for the first time to have the strong dialogue about protecting our unborn precious children and their mothers. You know, as a single working mother of 3 beautiful children, I completely understand. I know it's going to be hard. We've still got some challenges. But now for the first time, we recognize that it's time for our laws to move with society and make it much easier for our mothers to be successful. You know, this is a wonderful opportunity to return this to the people, to us, all of us, the people. The Constitution gives us the right. We are ready and willing and able to do the job. Returning it back to the states to have the abortion policy-making decision to us, to the people. And again, we are so prepared for that. You know, it's been a long time coming. We know there are hard choices and there are no easy answers. But for the first time, we truly are having the conversation of how we make it in a positive way for the mothers, for their children. And so I thank you for all of the hard work that each of you've done. This has been a tremendous team effort. And I thank you for the hard work you're going to continue to do in a post-Roe v. Wade world. Thank you for supporting women who are going to have to make tough, difficult decisions. Thank you for working with your elected leaders, your elected legislators and governors to make sure that laws are passed that both empower women and promote life. Thank you so very much, but God bless each of you.
All right, and before they leave, I just want to give another round of applause for Lynn Fitch and the Solicitor General, Scott Stewart, who argued inside the court. Give him a round of applause. Thank you, Scott. Thank you. All right, guys, the show's not over. We've got some amazing speakers. I want to introduce to you next a gentleman who has worked incredibly hard for life. Representative Wicker, join us here on stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Lynn Fitch. Is she a great representative of women? Is she a great representative of the state of Mississippi? For 3 decades, the state of Mississippi has been a pioneer in the fight for life. We led the fight to say you can regulate clinics. We led the fight to say you can have a waiting period. And today, a Mississippi case makes it to the Supreme Court and has been argued the best it possibly could. Thank you to the legislators of Mississippi and to our Attorney General. My wife, I'll speak briefly. My wife is here. She and I have 8 grandchildren. This is a picture of our youngest grandchild, Julia Vaughn Wicker, at 21 weeks. This baby, this American baby, deserved protection, and that's what we're about today. I think we've got some people here who believe the Bible. I won't point to anybody, but some of you know Hebrews 12:1. We are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. Therefore, let us run the race with perseverance. There are people who could not be here today. They're part of that great cloud of witnesses. Henry Hyde is part of that great cloud of witnesses. Susan B. Anthony, pro-life Democrats like Harold Volcker. Nino Scalia is part of that great crowd of witnesses today. My colleague Jay Dickey of Arkansas is part of that great crowd of witnesses. Since we're surrounded by them and since the Bible says so, let's keep running the race with perseverance and let's win the race for life. Thank you and God bless you all.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Now, how many here, when you were typing Mississippi in social media today, said MISSISSIPPI? Thank you to our teachers. I'm introducing you now to Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith from the great state of Mississippi.
Thank you so very much. And you know, today I look out here, I cannot be prouder than being from the state of Mississippi today. What a great day for our state. I'm looking at a lot of women out here, but today we're all Esthers. We're all here for a time such as this, and we are prayed up. It has happened. This is our day. I have the great honor to introduce to you the representative that wrote the bill, the Dobbs bill. It is her bill that they just heard in this building right now. Lynn Fitch, our first female attorney general, has presented this so well. The preparation has paid off. But right now, Representative Becky Curry from Brookhaven, Mississippi, please welcome her bill. Here she is in person.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It is so heartwarming to see everybody here. There's days in the legislature, I'm a registered nurse who once delivered a lot of babies. And I wonder, what am I doing in the politics in the legislature? And I can tell you today, I know, because we're going to save millions of babies' lives. And I'm so proud to have written that bill. And thank you so much for your support.
Thank you. Guys, the Gestational Age Act, this 15-week bill, was penned by Representative Curry, a female, a mom, a nurse. We've got AG Lynn Fitch. I mean, women rock. We're doing great. My little girl in my belly's doing great. I know we're getting close to lunch, so I hope you're doing okay. We're so excited. We have a couple more speakers. Stick with us, guys. I'm so grateful for Representative Trent Kelly is joining us next right here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And let me just say, life is our most precious gift from God. In the Constitution or the preamble, it says life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In the order that they're important, life first. You cannot do the others without life. And I've chosen to protect this great nation in both life and liberty by serving in uniform. I've served as a district attorney and preserved lives of those innocently taken. And I continue to serve here in the House of Representatives to protect the right to life. I will do all I can to protect that. It is an honor and a privilege to join you this morning to ask the Supreme Court to overturn and reevaluate Roe v. Wade and restore a state's constitutional right to enact laws that represent the will of its people. But I think there's nothing that's more important than Psalm 139:16 when you're asking, is it a baby? Is it a life? And it says, your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. There is nothing more clear than that. At 15 weeks, it is a life. It is a baby. I have sworn an obligation to protect that. It is not right to take that, and I hope our Supreme Court follows the science, follows the technology, and follows the laws of the land and the laws of God, and they understand that at 15 weeks, it is a life, not someone's choice to take. With that, I thank Attorney General Lynn Fitch, who is my friend, my entire Mississippi legislature, our governor, and everyone else involved, but Lynn Fitch is the right face and the right voice at the right time to overturn Roe v. Wade. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. We're welcoming someone up next who brought in hundreds, thousands, who has trained so many. If you're with Students for Life, let me hear you. Please welcome Kristen Hawkins, President of Students for Life of America. Should I stand on this? Sure, go for it. It'll help.
Hello, I am Kristen Hawkins, and I am proud to say I'm the President of Students for Life of America. With more than 1,250 groups in all 50 states, more than 130,000 trained activists, we were founded 15 years ago as a post-Roe organization, dedicated to protecting life in law as well as in service, which is why you will find the survivors of legal abortion, all of us who were born after 1973, you will find us daily in state capitol buildings advocating for the laws to end this violence, on campuses and online, challenging the culture to change minds, and in communities, knocking doors, connecting women and families in crisis with nonviolent resources and post-Roe initiatives like our own Standing With You program. The pro-life generation is here today in support of Mississippi's efforts to defend law, defend life. We are here. Each and every one of us who are here, who were born after 1973, to say we survived the Supreme Court's disastrous decision. We survived, and we are here for our brothers and our sisters who did not. We are here to directly confront the legal atrocity of Roe versus Wade and Doe versus Bolton. Today we are so honored to be next to Attorney General Lynn Fitch and the state of Mississippi, who bravely come before the court to tell them to do the right thing, to acknowledge the science, follow their hearts. Thank you, AG Fitch, for having the courage to fight, for having the courage to stand. Thank you for helping us confront the flawed legal foundation of Roe, Doe, and Casey. Earlier this year, Students for Life and Human Coalition Action filed an amicus brief here at the court. We, the pro-life generation, argued, we stated, we adamantly reject any pretense that women must rely on abortion to further their circumstances or life. As the head of an organization primarily powered by women, many of us moms, we are a working generation of women who've been most targeted by the abortion industry. I've witnessed the misogyny of Roe and Casey decisions and the lies the abortion industry tells women that we cannot succeed without sacrificing our children. The Supreme Court's dangerous and erroneous conclusions made by 7 men about what women need has harmed an entire generation of women who deserved support, not the devastation of abortion. That is why to you today I am honored to say that we, the pro-life generation, were born and we are here to declare that we are the post-Roe generation. We
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you for everything you're doing. Let me introduce you guys to Catherine Jean Lopez. You may be reading her writing. She's a senior fellow at the National Review Institute. Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you. I'm from New York City. Anybody from New York? I just want to say I love Mississippi today. So grateful. Do you know about the Sisters of Life? They're always here at the March for Life. We love the Sisters of Life. They're Catholic nuns who lay down their lives to serve women and babies and families. They vow to protect and defend the sanctity of human life. They embrace women who are pregnant and feeling like all the pressures in their lives are insisting on abortion. They love these women. They don't tell them not to have an abortion. Rather, they reflect back to them the beautiful gifts they are and the tremendous love they're capable of. The Sisters of Life meet women and girls who are scared. These women and girls often feel like they have to have an abortion so as to not disappoint their families and just about everyone else in their lives. Meeting the sisters frequently changes things for these women, giving them room to breathe. Roe v. Wade hurt these women who feel pressured to abort their unborn babies. It created a right out of nowhere to abort an unborn baby during all 3 trimesters of pregnancy. Roe versus Wade has immiserated women. It has set an expectation for abortion. Roe versus Wade has encouraged a culture where abortion is preferred. Abortion is not empowerment. Abortion severs the most intimate relationship there is between a mother and a child. Abortion is violence. Roe itself is not just bad law. It's not just bad science. Roe is cruel to women and children and men of all culture. It is good for men to be good to women. It is good for women to be able to rely on men. We have different gifts and complement one another. But the regime of Roe versus Wade that was recklessly imposed by this court on the women and men of the United States a near half century ago created a culture that seems to prefer abortion, the most intimate violence there is. This case today, Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health, is about human rights. This case today is about the dignity of women. This case today is about saving lives. This case is about declaring that women deserve better than the misery and brutality of abortion. It is only euphemisms that keep us from realizing the grave evil that is Roe versus Wade. We pray today that the court comes to its senses and does the right thing and puts an end to Roe v. Wade, which is the real war on women, moms and their children and families. And no, we stand today as a movement who stand with the Sisters of Life as a pro-love movement with over 2,700 women care centers and so much more who embrace women for life. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, pro-life movement. Attorney General Lynn Fitch loves you so much. She's still here with Scott Stewart, who argued. She's just soaking this all in. So I want to hear you one more time. She didn't get to hear it, but let's together. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Roe v. Wade has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Roe v. Wade has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Roe v. Wade has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Roe v. Wade has got to go. Nice job. I told you this before, but Lynn Fitch, in her brief, called Roe egregiously wrong. That's your 10-point Scrabble word. It's egregiously wrong, and we can't wait for it to be overturned and done with. I'm going to introduce you to 2 more speakers. The next is Gloria Purvis. She stands for Racial Justice, amazing pro-life leader. Welcome, Gloria.
Thank you. All right, let's see. I'm going to stand on this.
Go for it. I got you.
All right. All right. When I say we must empower women, I want you to say, promote life. Empower women. Empower women. Look, after 20 years, more than 20 years in the pro-life ministry, including counseling women outside of abortion clinics, I have heard many women and girls talk about why they aborted. You want to know why? Coercion, abuse, manipulation, and hostility toward pregnancy were frequent themes. I tell you, we must empower women
I have heard and witnessed a variety of situations. A husband threatening to beat his wife to death if she dares to remain pregnant. A mother or father forcing an abortion because they believe it is best for their daughter's future. A family threatening to expel the woman from the home if she does not abort. A boyfriend offering marriage in exchange for the abortion and then dumping the woman after the abortion. A private high school responding to pregnant girls with threats of expulsion. A college not offering practical resources for pregnant women, and a well-to-do husband preferring the expense of a new luxury car rather than welcoming a child. I tell you, we must empower women. Given my experience with women who have been coerced, manipulated, and abused because of abortion, I see overturning Roe as a means of justice for these women. Look, the truth is, abortion does not liberate women from the patriarchy. It simply severs a man from his obligation to the mother and their unborn daughter. Look, this does not teach men to love and respect us, nor their unborn daughters. It enables men to defile women and encourages them to abuse women verbally and otherwise. Look, abortion is integral to upholding systems that oppress women. We must empower women and look, imagine the law, businesses, educational institutions, the military, the economy, the very structure of our society not having abortion as a buttress. Imagine our world making way for women truly as we are, and injustice giving us what we are due because of our womanhood. We must empower women and look, this is not just financial and material support, but a wholesale rethinking of our attitudes, practices, and systems in our society and the church. A society that cherishes women, offers support for women and girls, whether pregnant, mothering, or not, and rightfully binds the father to support the mother and his child. We must empower women and this new vision could include rights that encourage and enable women's full participation in education, business, and industry. Rights that change our vision of work so that accommodating working women and mothers is not a concession, but an essential aspect of a successful business. Rights that ensure workers receive just wages to support a family. Rights that protect future women and men in the womb. Rights that provide authentic women's health care, including prenatal health care, maternal health, and postmenopausal care. Rights that bind the father to the mother and to his daughter, including unborn daughters. Rights that create a society where structures protects women and the culture would not brook our abuse, verbally or otherwise. We must empower women and
Great job. Guys, I know since, is my voice cracking? I lost my voice. I'm glad that you've lost your voice because, again, you're speaking up for those who don't have a voice. I'll gladly lose my voice for these children. We've been talking this morning about the other side and how we want them to join us in this fight for life. How if they could join us in this fight for life, lives would be saved, women would be empowered, workplaces would change, and we could then move on and fight other human rights abuses, right? I'd love to do that together. We now have our last speaker, someone who truly has left the other side. She was a former Planned Parenthood director, and she is now a member of Democrats for Life. Please give a round of applause for Maya Rodriguez.
Thank you. You won't believe that last time I was standing here, it was along with Planned Parenthood, along with Cecile Richards, fighting for Planned Parenthood. What a change for me, right? That was barely in 2017. I'm the former Planned Parenthood director and whistleblower from the state of Arizona. I worked for Planned Parenthood for 17 years, thinking I was helping women. In 2017, I was named the director of the biggest abortion clinic in the state of Arizona. And what I saw there changed my heart and mind about abortion. I saw the complications and I saw women getting hurt. I saw the falsifying of patient charts. I saw the perforations done daily to women unreported. I saw the incomplete abortions. I saw the abortionists leaving baby parts and then refer to them as trash. And refuse to go back and look at the woman and correct his mistake. So what happened? I got fired. And then I sued Planned Parenthood in the state of Arizona for wrongful termination under the Whistleblower Protection Act. And we won. And today my mission is to tell women abortion hurts you. I was there. I was telling you abortions. Abortions are not for women. I heard the other side say something like, sí se puede. Sí se puede not have abortions. Sí se puede to empower women. Sí se puede have children and be a lawyer and be doctors. You know, working for Planned Parenthood, I was told to be pro-life, you have to be Republican and white. I've been lied. Because I came out, and there's a lot of pro-life Democrats. There's people from all over races. There's people from different religions and beliefs. There's atheists. Because the pro-life movement, it's about being really inclusive. And that's including the babies in the womb. Because empowering women, it's caring for those women inside the womb. And we won't stop. And now if you let me, I will do it in Spanish all over again. Gracias a todos por estar aquí. La última vez que estuve aquí fue al lado de Planned Parenthood, peleando por Planned Parenthood, junto con su presidente Cecil Richards. Hoy estoy aquí porque después de trabajar para Planned Parenthood por 17 años, me di cuenta que el aborto lastima a las mujeres. Sí, yo fui parte de esa industria. ¿Y qué fue lo que vi ahí? Cómo las mujeres eran perforadas, cómo las complicaciones no eran reportadas y cómo el abortista fallaba en su trabajo y dejaba partes de los bebés a las que él se refería como basura dentro de esas mujeres. Lo que siguió fue que me despidieron. Demandé a Planned Parenthood ganando una demanda que nunca antes ningún inmigrante había ganado en la historia de este país. Y hoy estamos aquí defendiendo a las mujeres. Today's battle is really important not only for America, but for the world, because we lead the world. The world is looking out for us to do the right thing for the unborn. They are hopeful that we will turn off Roe v. Wade so they won't get abortion in their countries, because Latin America don't want abortions. They don't want to kill their babies. Latinos, we like big families. That's who we are. That's our culture. Don't kill our babies. We don't want that. We want our big families. It's our culture. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for supporting the unborn. And thank you so much for empowering women.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our program this morning. Give yourselves a round of applause. The real OGs, you stuck it out the whole time. Now listen, this decision is likely to be handed down this spring, so keep these deliberations in thought and prayer. And your work here, no matter what, has just begun. No matter what the court decides, we continue to fight for life, right? In our communities, to our families, to our friends. It can be something as simple, guys, as posting on social media that if you ever find yourself in an unplanned pregnancy, I'm there for you. You might be surprised at what kind of response you get. I want to make sure that you are connected. Follow the organizations here. Get involved. Get plugged in. This is a big year. And if the court does the right thing, we've got a lot of work to do, and we're ready to do it. I know you are. So one more round of applause. All signs up for an amazing morning at the Supreme Court. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, guys. You don't have to go home, but we got to get out of here. So take a sign, take your trash, and I'll see you soon. Keep fighting for life.